Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. Hope you had a great weekend. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do, remember that we post all 3 hours both on iTunes and our own audio vault every day upon the conclusion of the program. You can email the show if you like. It's jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow, WTSM app. Good for your mobile devices and free. And on YouTube, if you want to watch us perform our duties on the program, you can. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube. Thanks for everybody either watching live or going back and getting caught up later on. Obviously, for Florida State, the news is not good. Another loss. Florida State's now 2-4, 0-3 at home for the first time since 1974. Yeah, that's a toughie. And moreover, you begin to play the game, right? The game where you look at the schedule and you go, okay, well, Boston College this Friday, Syracuse, can we get one of two against those two? And then we don't know. We're not going to beat Clemson, so I'm not, okay, don't worry about that. Delaware State's a win. We got to reschedule the ULM game. And then Florida's a coin toss. So you're doing the whole, can we get to bowl eligibility thing? Not exactly where we thought we'd be, to say the least. But I will also say that it's probably not what you want to do in terms of tuning into this show every Monday and hearing the same message over and over again. I don't think that's, it's interesting. I'm almost inclined not to really even assess the Louisville game. There's plenty of numbers and things that stand out and moments, both good and bad, that I could point to as a reason for the loss. But you've done that by now. You watched that game maybe even more than once, just as I have, and you've looked at the numbers and you've done all of those things. And so when you think about how angry you are that we had a total of 36 yards in the second quarter against that Louisville defense, or you think we got the fourth down stop on defense when we had to have it, but then promptly gave up a game-winning drive when it was all on the line, which is also something we always do. I mean, you can find and isolate these moments where it's for the good or for the bad. But at the end of the day, it's another loss for Florida State, who's 2-4. And this time around, it was coupled with terrible news that we found out this morning, confirmed this morning, by Jimbo Fisher and talking with me during the Mountain Dew coach's interview, and you'll hear that coming up, that Jacques Patrick, one of the kids that has really given all that he's had this year and played very tough, very hard-nosed, has sacrificed his body, has worked hard to become the runner that Jimbo wanted him to be when he got here with that body type. He's played hard and he's run hard, and he's been a big part of what minimal success Florida State has had. So you hate it for the kid because he cares. He wants it. He's willing to sacrifice. He's willing to put it all on the line. And to see him get hurt, it's sad. So we wish Jacques Patrick well. That being said, it's not altogether surprising that Florida State suffered yet another setback, not only on the field in terms of wins and losses, but also on the injury front because, this year, ... That's kind of the way things have gone for Florida State. I think most people now, though, have kind of moved on into the big picture realm, into the larger issues and talking points and areas of concern. First, of course, we should address Jimbo Fisher's verbal exchange with a fan in the stands, which, as we all know, really can't happen. I understand how it happens, but it's really not something that you can have happen. And for Coach Fisher, I get it. He's a passionate guy, and he's fresh off of a loss that's a heartbreaking loss coming off the field, and you got a guy yelling at you. It's got to be tough, but you got to just move on. You got to be better than that. You got to get in that tunnel. You got to know that, hey, listen, frustrations, there's overriding frustrations for all involved right now, and getting into a verbal altercation is not going to be a good look, nor is it going to remedy anything, and you just got to move on down the line. He says for his part, that he does not regret it. I think he's looking at it from a standpoint of defending players, although nothing was said about his players. But the idea that they were in earshot of it, I'm sure, bothered him. More importantly, I'm sure the coaches the assistant coaches whom this fan is asking to be replaced. I'm sure Coach Fisher is worried about their feelings and their family's feelings and all of that too. I get it, but you got to that's part of the business. It's very tough, but these guys sign up for it. Everybody knows that. Not for verbal abuse necessarily, but all of the things that come with being a big-time college football coach. There's a lot of good with that too. There are some negatives, and that is that occasionally you're gonna hear people voice their displeasure when you're 2-4, and your team, which at this point was. Preseason ranked number 3 in the country and had aspirations to go to the college football playoff and is now really an afterthought as we look at week in and week out, the results that count. Florida State is no longer amongst those that matter in the discussion, and that's just awfully tough for everybody to accept. I do wonder for Coach Fisher now how you go about it. Now, I wouldn't know this, and I'm sure he's obviously – at this point trying to figure it out as well. But you have got to find a way to keep a team together because when guys check out, your worst imaginable result is possible. It doesn't have anything to do with talent at a point that players check out. I'm not sure they have, but you could see how it can happen. We've seen it happen with other teams. You've watched some of the best programs in America have these kinds of seasons. Up until this point, Florida State, by and large, has been immune to it. Since becoming a power, since becoming one of the best teams in college football and programs in college football, and that was many moons ago under Bobby Bowden. We really just haven't seen this, literally haven't seen it. So this is new ground. It's new ground for me. Even during the lost decade, you didn't see, 0-3 at home, 2-4. You just didn't see a lot of this. So how you keep this thing together, how you keep this family together, and how you find a way to get effort from guys now who know their season is a lost cause, save for pride and save for fighting to become bowl eligible. You would like to believe that, hey, listen, if you're a competitor, you compete. It's what you do. It doesn't matter the previous results. It doesn't matter that you're not having the kind of season that you thought you were going to have. But you're a competitor, and you got pride, and you're going to lay it on the line each and every week. But we've seen in college football where that's not always the case. Kids will occasionally check out. It's up to the coaches to ensure that that doesn't happen. So that's an interesting, to me, that's an interesting angle moving forward. Where do we go? Do they lay it on the line on Friday? Because Boston College cares deeply right now and are rolling. I mean, this is a Boston College team that's won 3 straight. This is a Boston College team that is dropping 40-plus points on people on a regular basis and running the football with great effectiveness. And I'll tell you, if you're going to face a team that wants to run the ball and beat you physically, beat you up, you got to want to tackle. Run fits can be difficult because there's not a lot of glory in that. You got to want to stick your head in there and take on a lead block so that somebody else makes the play. If you don't have a lot of what for and want to because your season's a loss, you'll get beat by Boston College on Friday, and that's their Super Bowl. You lose that game and go to 2-5, there's no guarantee that you turn around and come home and beat Syracuse, who's playing hard and playing pretty well right now. And then you start talking about a scenario that really none of us could have ever envisioned. And I don't know, part of what I don't know is, does that change anything? Because I think we all believe at this point that Coach Fisher is going to make the necessary changes, that he is going to have to do something that is unpleasant, that he's going to have to do something that he certainly doesn't want to do. Coach Fisher is, as most coaches are, extremely he prizes loyalty to the extreme. And in this business, you can understand why you would have to be that way and why most coaches are that way. It's understandable. But when the rubber meets the road and you got to make tough decisions and things aren't going well and the program has slid into a place that really nobody would find acceptable, you got to make changes. It's not always a singular person. It's not a guy's fault or just this segment or just this. But sometimes change has to be made even when you don't think the person that you're letting go in the moment is responsible for the record. You got to do it. And what stinks, I think, from the standpoint of covering this or just being a fan and wanting to see the team play better, obviously, and perform better, is that if you believe that what has to be done can't be done until the offseason, which is, I think, the case, it's a broken record. What else can you do every week? What else can you talk about? What else is there to say? You've got to sit back and wait now and see if he makes changes.
Well, I think, the question now becomes, how big is the scope? How big are the changes going to be? Changes are coming. This isn't going to be...
You have to be, right? I mean, I don't think there's any way you could go through this season and...
No. I mean, we said it even in the weeks leading up to this particular loss, which now it's 4 out of 6. But what we've said, I think we can safely assume that this staff won't be exactly the same. It won't be intact year to year. The question is how many new members to the staff beyond, they get an extra coach next year who can be on the field and working with the team in practice, because everybody in college football gets that extra coach. So how many more new faces beyond that one that you get?
Well, the new face won't be a new face at all. It'll be...
Probably Damian Craig.
Yeah, it would be Damian Craig, which will be a good thing.
One would think that was a staging move, is you get him in a position now.
That'd be my guess.
Yes, I totally agree. But, I mean, even his job about recruiting, I just want to know how many facets of the program are going to look different than they do right now. Not just about coordinators and position coaches. I just wonder, is there an overhaul coming with Coach Fisher at the helm, or what?
I'll tell you what we can do. We can. I remember an article I read by Pete Thamel just before the spring games were starting to get played. In this case, Notre Dame's spring game, and Brian Kelly and Notre Dame have gone through a huge overhaul. They went 4-8. Lest people forget, Notre Dame went 4-8 last year. And by all accounts, he was going to be fired, was certainly up against it, was very close to being fired. And he made radical changes. And I'll get into that after we play the Mountain Dew Jimbo Fisher interview. But he did the kind of thing that I think a lot of people want to see done here. And I think it's interesting. I don't know to the extent that Jimbo Fisher will do this, but he did a lot to change the way that he managed his football team, the way he coached his football team, the interactions on a day-to-day basis, and he also, of course, changed the staff. I mean, he got rid of guys. He got a new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, amongst several other coaches. I mean, he went and cleaned house, and it's difficult. And in that article, and I'll pull it up during the break, in that article, he talked about how difficult it was, that there were a lot of guys he loved and cared about and trusted and didn't think was the reason for the problem. He cited mistakes that he'd made, but he's not going to fire himself. And so, he thought, okay, well, I'm going to do a lot to change how I go about interacting with my team, coaching my team, preparing my team. But I'm also going to bring in, a new voice on the defensive side of the ball. I'm going to bring in a new set of eyes offensively and take advice from players and former players. He actually sat down and interviewed, I remember in that article, he interviewed every single player from his football team, almost an exit interview, including former players that had been there under him, and said, feel free to tell me anything you want to tell me. You know what? It could hurt my feelings, but that's all right. I need to learn.
Well, that's the thing here, and I think that's where, the situations aren't identical, but they're similar. They're quite similar. Given what the record is likely going to be for Florida State, it still could be 6-6 and get to a bowl game. That's there. I'll grant you that. But this has been trending in this direction. This isn't, we just won 29 straight and then bam, here comes this season. 15 happens and that's acceptable and predictable because you're reloading, you're regrouping as a team. Mm-hmm. And even then, you're a handful of plays away from, being the ACC Atlantic representative and getting to, a New Year's Six bowl, probably not the playoff, but it's not crazy to look back at that season and go, well, damn, a couple of plays up at Clemson and then the Georgia Tech game, you're right back in the mix. Last year, though, that was one where you go, okay, the Louisville game, unacceptable. And
there are a lot of things about last year that, no.
And the North Carolina game finishing the way it did. You know what I mean? Jimbo has said, on the dais this year a bunch that, well, we for the last 7 years, we've always won those close games. Well, that's not really true. You won a lot of them. I mean, all of 2014.
Well, you won a lot of them with a certain quarterback.
Right, the 2013 national championship.
Prior to that quarterback being here, you didn't win all of those, and since that quarterback's not here, you don't win all of those.
You won some, yeah. Like the Miami one last year, that's a close finish. Mm-hmm. Miami the year prior, close finish, but the North Carolina game was there. The Clemson game, you didn't make plays down the stretch. I know you got somebody thrown out. I know there was a BS, clip and call, but there were a couple of plays to be made at the tail end of the game. They weren't made. You cited it before about game-winning drives given up. It was 7-17. 7 times in 17 games.
7 in the last 17 games will now make it 8.
Yeah, previous to this weekend.
Yeah.
So it's been trending this way. Why? I think that's the thing. And how seriously is that question going to be asked? And how seriously is that question going to be vetted and acted upon in the next 2 months?
But, of course, and that's where we get into his answers today at the press conference this afternoon about his coaching staff and whether or not he thinks he has the right coaching staff. He cannot answer that question, honestly. He's not – I don't even think it's necessarily fair. I mean, he's not in a situation – listen, he's going to do the evaluations at the end of the year, as he always does. And if when he goes back and does that and he takes an honest, hard look at where we're at and where we've been trending and the results of the year, it should all be right there. It's an empirical data. You could just look at this and say you got better players than the vast majority of the teams you're playing. You're losing to those teams.
I agree with you. This is semantics on my part, so I apologize in advance. But I think he's evaluating right now. But he's going to act on those evaluations at the end of the year.
Right, and there would be nothing that you could ask him that would allow for him to reveal, or nothing that he will reveal, about that process from week to week. Whether they win this Friday or lose this Friday, there's nothing that you could ask as a member of the press, or I could ask on Sunday morning or Sunday evening or Monday morning like I did today, that he's going to say, yes, I'm firing so-and-so at the end of the year. He's just not going to do that. And I get that. He doesn't necessarily need to do that. Also, for recruiting purposes, you can't do that. So I think there's very good reasons why he would not say that. And, you know, listen, I think what's up for debate is now not if changes are going to be made, but how many. That's, again, the bigger question. Is it one guy? Is it two guys? Is it cleaning house like they did at Notre Dame? I use that as an example just because they had a disastrous season and the coach was on the hot seat. And Jimbo's not on the hot seat, but he is under pressure, certainly, to A, fix this problem, and B, make some changes that would remedy, obviously, losing football games every weekend.
He's not on the hot seat now, but he's on the hot seat next season, I think. I don't think there's any doubt about that. With the changes that have to come between now and kickoff of the 2018 season, we open up with Virginia Tech next year on Labor Day night.
So let me say this.
All right, here we go.
Yeah, but here's the thing about that is, okay, I get it what you're saying. From an opinion standpoint, he will be on the hot seat with a large contingency in this fan base, right? A large group of the fans for Florida State would say, okay, you got to do better than we've been doing. But the contract doesn't say that. The contract says there's no chance you're telling Jimbo to have a good day.
But I think the reasonable majority will now be deciding in 2018.
Oh, well, listen, this whole thing has been disastrous, and that wasn't a good look on Saturday afterwards. And these are all things that help make people's decisions to go from one side of the argument to the other on this thing. I mean, the more of these things happen, losses for starters, and B, in an interaction, a heated exchange with a fan, the more people start to go, what in the hell is going on here? This looks to be completely in disarray. And you get it. There are certain factions that already want to see massive changes and some that want to see the head coach gone. Now, that's not going to happen. We know that. We can talk about what is, not what ought to be in the eyes of many. But the changes that we want to see coming or that we think are necessary, I'm curious to see if those are in lockstep with what Coach Fisher views the problems to be. And, that we won't know until the offseason. And so until that time, this just feels like Groundhog Day. I interviewed Jimbo Fisher in the Mountain Dew coach's interview, did so very early this morning. I do want to say before that starts, when we come back out of this break, that I really appreciate him making time. They practiced last night, so he couldn't do his normal interviews and was on the field till after 8 o'clock last night. And they reached out to me and said, hey, we want to do the interview. He's always done the interview. Can you come in the morning? I said, sure, I'm an early riser. That's fine. So I came in here, and we did it early this morning. Jimbo called me. So I do appreciate that because they made extra efforts to do the interviews. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574 4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra E-Max 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
4. Dr. Delay.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
At Whole Foods Market, we believe in real food. Food that's full of nutrients, naturally vivid and colorful, fresh and delicious. Food that connects you to your body, to the seasons, and to the natural world. We believe food should nourish you and help you think. It should help you feel calm, clear-headed, and strong. It should help you do more, sleep better, and wake up happier. That's food that lives up to its name. We believe in real food. Whole Foods Market.
Mahindra's inventory clearance is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra 750S Camo as low as $135 a month, or up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Only from Mahindra.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Super Center, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSuperCenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
Wow, this is great. E+.
E+? Is that like A+?
It's better. The E stands for easy.
Easy Plus?
Yep, easy ways to save energy, water, and money from the City of Tallahassee Utilities, your own utilities. The City of Tallahassee Utilities has created easy ways to monitor your account with E+ online. We can pay online, we can check our balance online, compare usage history online, and even take a free online energy audit.
And I see the City of Tallahassee Utilities has created a new smart bill. Once we enroll, we do everything online. Billing, paying, everything. What a time saver. Not to mention saving energy, water, and money.
And when we download the City of Tallahassee Utilities Digitally smartphone app, we can do everything on our phone. Pretty incredible.
Plus, there are new authorized payment locations, like some local gas stations, grocery stores, other city departments, and more.
We can even go to the Renaissance Center at 435 North Macomb Street to pay our bill.
Wow. The E really does stand for easy, doesn't it?
It sure does. E+ from the City of Tallahassee Utilities. Your own utilities.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, introducing Nissan's Express Service. Express Service means oil changes in 45 minutes or less, with no appointment necessary. Here's how it works. When you come to Kraft Nissan for an oil change, you're greeted by a dedicated Express Service advisor. Sign the advisor's iPad and have a seat in our waiting room. A team of 2 lube technicians will immediately take your car directly to service and complete the oil change. And remember, Kraft Nissan services all makes and models. We sell tires for less. Compare us to the box stores and compare us to the tire stores. We'll beat their price. Plus, new tires come with free rotations for the life of the tires. We also have our Value Advantage line of parts that are priced to compete with aftermarket and parts stores, but still have full Nissan factory warranty. So competitively priced that Kraft Nissan will give you a 30-day price match guarantee in writing. And we offer the Kraft Nissan service card, same as cash for 6 months on purchases over $299.
So give us a try. Oil changes in 45 minutes or less and no appointment necessary. Just stop by.
Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. Service card with approved credit.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Welcome in, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. As always, we're joined by Coach Fisher after the game. And You know, he's making time for us this morning, even though normally the schedule is a little bit different than it is now. I appreciate that, Coach. So many one-possession games every week, and unfortunately, obviously, the results are not where you want them to be. I guess I'm looking big picture here as we talk today, because it seems like it's a play here or it's a play there, but they're not being made in the critical moments. What do you say to the fans who ask, why is this happening?
It's just part of maturity growth in certain players, and we got to keep fighting for it. And I got to tell our players, you can be 3 for 3 in a baseball game, and those 3 hits mean nothing, or you can be 0 for 3 and get 1 hit in the ninth with 2 outs, that drives in the RBI, and that's what we're trying to understand our kids, that every play and the attention's in the details, and it's also not only the plays you make, but when you make them, and we're continuing to educate them on that and do that. And here's the thing, we have always been able to do that. We have always won these games. And it's not a lack of them not trying. It's just we got to understand how to, stay, as I say, stay detailed all the way through every situation and keep rooting, keep cheering, and we're going to keep coaching the heck out of them. Like I told them in my press conference, what if that's one of your kids out there? Keep rooting for them. Keep cheering for them. They're playing their hearts out.
Yeah, and Coach, I know how much you love these kids and you coach them up every day, and you're obviously now also – you have to, as a head coach, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do you do as a head coach to help them get to that place? What did the film tell you, first of all, about this game? I guess we should address this game. What did the film tell you about the whys and hows of the final? And then what are you doing now? What do you ask yourself in a situation like this?
To get back to details, you got to get them to understand that when you go to the line of scrimmage, don't think about any failures. Think about exactly what I have to do, how I have to do it, and the details in which I have to do it with, and the exact technique I have to do it with, and play your heart out and go to the next play. You have to continue to grind that in them and make sure they do it every day in practice, and just like we do, and that every time that those guys, I understand that why we're on them so much is that every play makes a difference, and that's what we're doing. And I coach the coaches that coach that way, and then the guys that I'm involved with when I'm coaching, I coach them that way. And it's about every play and coach detail, and and respect the details of every individual situation, and understand what you're trying to accomplish, and on the play, what my assignment is, what my alignment is, and then how I got to do it, and then that's what you focus on, and you go. And but the first part of your question, that's what we're doing, Jeff. That's what I'm doing, coaching coaches to make sure they're doing that, and coaching the players to make sure they do that too.
The turnover at the end, it looks like we're going down to win the game. Mm-hmm. Almost certain it looks like that's going to happen. You got a great drive going there. On that play, was that the call? Is that a straight handoff or a zone read? And did he just
all your gun runs a zone read? It wasn't a pull.
Okay.
He wasn't pulling the ball. He put the ball too far on the other side of the pad. He put the ball through. We had just ran that play 3 times in the last 8 plays.
Right.
And it's the exact play, which we were. Yeah, that's the one that Cam stumbled on. It really could have come out big, and then he had about 10 on, and we had it 2 or 3 other times in the drive. We had it there. All your gun runs are, but he was not pulling the play. He just put the ball too far in his belly. He put it on the opposite pad if you look at it, and when he pulled it across, Cam clamped on his arm because their arms were just, the details of where Cam came across, where he was, and it's the same play we've been running, and it created missed the pocket on the handoff, just like you do when you hand the ball off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. The ball went on the ground.
It's a weird game when you go back and look at it. I wanted to ask you about what you saw in the film, and that there are elements of this game where you say, okay, they improved greatly here. For example, defensively, you have a situation where there's 8:58 to play in the game, and Louisville literally had 0 yards passing in the second half at that point. So now granted, on the other side of that, obviously the young man had a day on the ground, as he's wont to do given his skill set. And yet, then obviously we don't get to stop at the end of the game. I don't know. You get a scoop and score for a touchdown on defense. So there's this good element that we have.
You got a huge 4th down stop. They had a 42-yard field goal to make and went for it on 4th and 1.5.
Yeah.
Could have put them ahead and really, give us a chance to win the game. And it was, and we had a great 4th down stop. And then we had that drive. It was tremendous. And, we didn't make a play at the end. We got beat on the slant inside on the first play, and then they popped the run. We got out of position on a run, and they got some momentum and got the drive going.
Quick question, Coach. I was hearing that Jacques Patrick may have an injury. I know he's going to miss some time. What's the status of Jacques Patrick?
Hey, well, Josh, you'll see it on he had some torn cartilage in his knee.
So that's it for the year?
Yeah, most likely.
That's a shame. All right, well, obviously he was having a good season. That's a shame for Jaquez Patrick.
Playing great. I mean, he was playing great football.
What's the challenge now, Coach? I know there's an emotional toll that goes with coming up short in a lot of these games, and nobody wants that, obviously. But you preach it to the kids, got to keep fighting. But it can be tough, and now you got a short week against a BC team that's really playing extremely well.
But that's what you do. You go back, and guys, the life's not fair. Things aren't fair. These kids have been through a lot of tough times in their life. This is a football game, and it means a lot to them. It means a lot to everybody. You go back and you go to work. That's the only way you can change it. Go back to what we talked about. Coach the details. Understand why we didn't have success. Understand why we had success on certain things. You go right back and you go to work. Put your head down, go to work, and you go play your tail off. Get 6 more games to play that you can go play your tail off on, and you do that, and you see what happens. You change. The only way you're going to change what's going on is you got to change it yourself. The world's not going to change it for you. And explain that to them. They have been. And we went out yesterday. We had a walkthrough, but the energy was good. The mindset was good. And the guys went through things very well.
Has this been the toughest season for you? I know you've been an assistant coach on some teams that struggled worse than this, but is this the toughest season you've had as a head coach?
Well, yeah. I mean, as far as win-losses, it has. But, I mean, there's been some other seasons even that we've had success on that have been absolute grind of things that go on. But, that's part of it. That's part of the ups and downs of coaching and the things in the world that go on. And, I mean, it's a challenge, but that's what you as a person have to say. You have to face the challenges every day, and you have to address what's in front of you and go and understand each situation and where the kids are and what they are, and that's part of coaching and the people around you, and you go.
Coach, best of luck. I appreciate you making time for us. I know it's a short week. Be well, and I'll talk to you again next week.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, head football coach, Florida State, making time for us. He's driving in. I don't know, what you say at this point. He has to say what he said, which is also the truth. I think that's the way he is. I've had this opportunity to talk to him for 10 years when he was an offensive coordinator, then head coach in waiting, now head coach, and I know that he really, really, really cherishes the opportunity to get up every morning early and start the coaching, and so it's not a lack of want to or focus or attention to detail. But there is something clearly missing. You don't lose the games that Florida State loses with the talent that Florida State has week in and week out if something's not missing. And I imagine the exhaustive search is, it's just that. It's every day, and it's looking in the mirror, and it's a lot of things. And the hard part now is, obviously, we all expect that there are going to be changes at the end of this year to that coaching staff. But you have 6 more games, and those changes can't be made right now. But you have to find a way to win games. I mean, you do not want to be at the helm at a time in which a bowl streak is snapped and a collection of winning seasons that is talked about throughout college football as the standard. That's not what you want on your resume. He knows that, obviously. I'm not saying anything that everybody doesn't already know, but the sense of desperation has been ratcheted up now to a place where I don't know that any of us have, it's interesting. We'll come back and talk about this conversation in this interview, but in the situation, I don't know what to say other than I'm obviously not happy. I don't think anybody is. And then you learn now that Jaquez Patrick is out for the year, and there was a kid that was fighting for you. It just seems like the way the season's gone. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
9625 U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
97.9 ESPN Radio would like to congratulate Lincoln's Alexander Sebeski, October's male winner of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac High School Scholar Athlete of the Month. Alex has helped the Trojans get off to a 2-0 start in district play and leads Lincoln with 66 tackles, 12 of which are for a loss, with 2 forced fumbles and 2 fumble recoveries. Alex carries a 4.3 grade point average, is a member of the National Honor Society, and is a dual enrollment student taking classes at TCC. He will be moving on to the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, where he hopes to continue his football career. As the October male winner of the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac High School Scholar Athlete of the Month, Lincoln's Alexander Sebeski is now qualified as a finalist for the Dale Jr. $2,500 End of the Year Scholarship. Check out all of the Athlete of the Month winners by visiting our website, ESPNTallahassee.com, and to help support the folks at Dale Jr., check them out on the corner of Capitol Circle Northeast and Miccosukee, or by visiting online at Dale Earnhardt Jr. BuickGMCCadillac.com.
Hey, Fido!
Yes, bud?
Hey, have you heard about that Hair of the Dog sports bar?
Yeah, it's all everyone's been barking about. It's Midtown's #1 sports bar with over 50 TVs, burgers, loaded nachos and wings, and a massive bar. Plus, Hair of the Dog is human-friendly, but you gotta keep them on a leash.
Sounds like a great place to watch those human teams play catch.
You mean football?
Hair of the Dog Sports Bar, Midtown, North Monroe behind Brugger's. Best drink prices and juiciest burgers in town.
Sexy French poodles welcome.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Are you aware of the new OSHA silica dust regulations that went into effect September 23rd? Are you prepared with the correct solutions to make your employees and your company compliant? DeWalt and Cornerstone Tool & Fastener have a full line of OSHA compliant solutions ranging from tools to accessories and shrouds and even dust extractors. OSHA rules intend to limit workers' exposure to breathable crystalline silica. DeWalt and Cornerstone are your first line of defense with the solutions you need. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 12/31/17.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, a pivotal NFC East meeting for the Eagles and Redskins on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia has won 4 straight games versus division opponents, including a victory over Washington in the season opener. Redskins trail the NFC East leading Eagles by a game and a half. Kickoff 8:20 Eastern on ESPN. The season is over for Browns left tackle Joe Thomas after an MRI showed a tear in his left triceps tendon. The injury ended his streak of consecutive snaps at 10,363. NBA, according to ESPN's Chris Haynes. The Suns met with guard Eric Bledsoe before the morning shootaround, then sent him home. He will not be available tonight versus the Kings. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports Phoenix actively engaged in trade talks for Bledsoe, hopes to find a deal soon. Bledsoe had requested a trade in the preseason.
See for yourself why buying a business trip at Upside.com is a triple win. Use code SPORTS and you'll get a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com when you buy your next business trip at Upside.com. You deserve a better business trip. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stop in at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Return 97.9 ESPN Radio. So I alluded to it before we had the Mountain Dew coaches interview. And I think a lot of the discussion moving forward isn't so much about the game every Saturday. In this case, it'll be upcoming on Friday. Although I may be wrong about that. We may see something that jars us yet still and changes the direction of the discussion. But in the interim, the idea of just losing another football game in an already disappointing season suggests that we're looking more towards what's going to happen at the end of said season.
World needs plenty of bartenders.
And a lot of the discussion and talking points now surrounding Florida State football have more to do with what will Coach Fisher do and how many new coaches, which coaches are let go, all that other stuff that gets into this. And you kind of look, what you end up doing is you try to find examples where something had gone south with a big name program and the coach stayed and was able to fix it or make immediate changes and move towards obviously getting back to where they were prior to the drop-off.
Yeah, like before the 2014 season, and coaches saying, well, I'm looking through the great coaches in history and what they did to,
sustain dominance.
This is the opposite of that.
Right.
But it's the same type of research, yes.
Well, you do. You look around and you say, okay, well, I know that it's been very difficult for a lot of coaches to sustain elite level of play beyond Nick Saban at Alabama. You really haven't seen it. It's even Urban Meyer at Florida. It went south after winning 2 national titles, and then you had infighting, you had a locker room in shambles, and you had a coach fake a heart attack and leave. I mean, you end up having absolute, meltdowns. Oklahoma with Bob Stoops has always been an interesting case because how quickly he flipped them and turned them into a national title winner, and then fairly regularly for a while there contenders each year. And he got back to playing for national championships, didn't win another one, but got back to where the program was competing for them, and had all kinds of success, obviously, in conference. But there aren't a ton of examples where a guy comes in, has success, wins a title, and then sustains an elite level of play for prolonged periods of time without a drop-off. And so that's the concern as you go, man, once this starts to go south, do we have examples where somebody that, okay, look, we like the coach, he's already proven himself to be a national championship level coach. He's won one. He's an elite recruiter. These are the things that Jimbo Fisher is. He's a very, very good recruiter. And he's obviously won a national championship. So you say, okay, well, I'm not willing to part ways with Coach Fisher just yet, but I do need him to make changes. Show me an example of a coach that's done that. Because this was where we get into discussion of ego, and you have to admit mistakes. It's awfully hard for coaches who they reach a level of success because they have a philosophy and a commitment to it and a work ethic to go with it that sees them win championships or a lot of football games along the way and improve a culture and flip a program that was, if not in dire straits, certainly on life support. And once that happens, it's confirmation. It's positive reinforcement that your way is the right way. It works. And guys aren't going to be quick to change that when they've been so rewarded, both financially and then also within the win column and also when it comes to winning rings. So it's almost as if they have to have sort of a come-to-Jesus moment, for lack of a better term, this realization that, it doesn't matter that I think this is the right way or that I know better than my critics. The bottom line is the results aren't there. And I am about winning, and I do hate losing, and I am losing. So something has to change. And in the case of Brian Kelly, and we'll see how this year plays out for Notre Dame, but as we look right now, Notre Dame has one loss. It's by 1 point to an undefeated Georgia team who's really good. Moreover, they're playing great defense. They run the football, and every week they confirm they're for real. And I thought about that over the weekend. Really, on Sunday, I was thinking, at that time, it was looking like I was going to do my Jimbo Fisher interview at the normal time on Sunday evening. And I was thinking, what kinds of questions do you ask Coach in this situation? It's not an easy interview to do because obviously I'm not there to badger him, but at the same time, you can't ignore the fact that we're losing football games and frustration is mounting. And then it just got me thinking big picture. I wonder what he's going to do next year. And, we're all doing that right now. And I thought back to this article. I got to give credit where credit's due. It was in Sports Illustrated. Pete Thamel wrote it back in March. You can find it online. But he talked about Brian Kelly. And, listen, I don't sit around and usually read articles to you. But for those of you driving around, bear with me here. I'll read a couple paragraphs because it's kind of interesting, and I think it's the thing that a lot of people are hoping gets done around here. To what extent? To the same extent, I don't know. But this process that Kelly went through in the offseason after having a terrible year in which they went 4-8, and Kelly had to commit to making major changes in the way that he coaches and then obviously to his staff. So process changes. And it talks about at the beginning of the article, 7 o'clock in the morning, he's doing yoga. He's got a special instructor. He's lost 20-something pounds. He's lost a pant size. And the changes at Notre Dame, this is indicative of the changes both to himself and what he's also doing within the program. It's just his second losing season for Brian Kelly in 26 years of head coach, as being a head coach. The Fighting Irish sputtered on offense, fired their defensive coordinator midseason, looked generally discombobulated on special teams. The intangible problems may have been more vexing, as 7 of the Irish's 8 losses came by 1 score. Kelly blames himself for lapses in mental toughness, physical conditioning, and general accountability. Part of the whole culture, quote-unquote. I let it slip. After Notre Dame's blowout loss to Southern Cal, Kelly found himself in a surreal spot. A coach who spent a quarter-century cementing his reputation as one of college football's consummate program builders suddenly had to step back and figure out a way to rebuild his own. It was as if the crew from HGTV's Fixer Upper discovered its own home was collapsing. To rejuvenate the Irish on the field, Kelly orchestrated a complete overhaul of his staff, program, and most significantly, himself. There's a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, special teams coach, and strength coach. In total, he hired 17 new staff members in the football staff. We failed, and I failed, Kelly told Sports Illustrated. I think like any successful person, well, they don't want to say I'm a failure. I looked at what adjustments needed to be made. In an unusually candid interview, Kelly didn't just fall on the sword for the Irish's flop last season. He belly flopped on it, using some form of the word fail 9 times and consistently pointing the finger back at himself. Antithetical to his red-faced and fiery sideline demeanor, Kelly underwent a thorough and deliberate overhaul of the program. The adjustments came directly from feedback received when he interviewed 93 players after last year. Former receiver and student coach Corey Robinson said he saw a lack of professionalism and undisciplined habits from the players. Senior captain Mike McGlinchey pointed out, finishing and training of our team got a little stale. Senior walk-on Grant Hammond suggested Kelly needed to be around the team more often. Their answers, apologies, complaints, suggestions provided the blueprint to fix a program that felt now too corporate, a coach who'd grown too distant, and a missing intensity in the weight room. He talked about being more involved on a day-to-day basis with the players. He now has breakfast with them every day. It gets into the details. There's a lot of other things that that are involved in this. It's a lengthy article. I'll stop there. But you can get into this about the 17 new staff members, the hard decisions he had to make because there were guys on his staff, obviously, that he trusted, believed in, loved, and was loyal to, but had to part with. There was the change to himself, both physically and mentally, the way that he approached the job, his habits, things that he'd begun to let slip. And he talked about having to come to that tough realization that maybe I need to change and maybe I need to do some things differently than I've done in my past. Because, again, you can imagine how very difficult that is for a guy that has had 24 winning seasons and 26 years of coaching.
And he'll tell you about it, too. He's a proud man, very proud about his accomplishments. And when the times were good, he was fond of reminding people that, when this thing was beginning to slide and they'd lose, he'd point during his press conferences, which is something Jimbo doesn't do. He'd point the finger at players and coaches who weren't getting it done. But what I'm doing everything right. But them, not so much.
Well,
and yet, here he is.
Here he is, coming to that conclusion. I mean, 5 of the 9 new position coaches, 3 of the 5 new strength coaches proved the most painful part for Kelly. This is part of the article here again. Assistant head coach Mike Denbrock, who'd been the primary play caller, left for Cincinnati after being informed he'd have a lesser role with the team. Notre Dame parted ways with defensive line coach Keith Gilmore, strength coach Paul Longo, who was his closest confidant, took a leave of absence from the program. He had a lot of different things going on here, admitted that the most difficult decisions I've ever had to make in my 26 years of being a coach happened this offseason. These were coaches who literally were part of building my program to get you where you are today. To make those changes, absolutely necessary, but also gut-wrenching. That's the core of what I think a lot of us wonder about with moving forward. How many changes does Coach make? Does he see it the same way that a lot of fans do currently? What would be his honest assessment of what's gone wrong? I mean, these are things that I don't know we're ever going to have all the answers for, but they would be fascinating at the end of this year. I mean, I'll tell you professionally, I would love to sit down with Coach Fisher and ask him after we see what he does, to ask him, what the process was, what it was he went through to come to those conclusions.
Yeah, because the situations are not identical.
No, they're not identical. Yeah.
But some of the root questions have to be quite similar, if not identical.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have to second-guess process, and the very thing that got you to where you are and all those successes that led you to be a head coach and a national champion at that and a great recruiter and all of those things are the very things now that you're now being asked to take a look at and change. And to bring in different people to give their side of things. I mean, one of the things in this article that I'm not so sure will be similar here or adapted here is that Kelly basically had to remove himself in some of the elements of play calling and being more of a CEO and all of those things. And I don't think Fisher, the play caller, is necessarily the problem, but I do think there's obviously there's a bigger issue at play here, and so I'm curious, and we can't know, and that's what's so frustrating because you won't know until the end of the season. We will not get a resolution to this until after the year, and in the interim, people sit around wondering, well, are you going to lose to Boston College? Are we not going to a bowl? Are we going to see some of the streaks that we're most proud of snapped in the process? And, I know, short week. We'll find out soon enough. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, Irashafel, WarChant.com. Going to join us next.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahendra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra Emax 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
TNT. I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Things up at Chili's. Even our song is changing.
Our old song was Baby Back, Baby Back, Baby Back. It was about ribs because that was our thing.
Everything's getting an update.
Our new menu is totally different. We made your favorite things a lot bigger.
We made our new burger half a pound. That's much bigger.
And the ribs are 30% bigger. The fajitas are way bigger too.
48% actually. But that's like impossible to sing.
I don't know, maybe just let me try it. The fajitas have 48% more fajitas. Oh baby, Chili's is back. Baby back, baby back.
Football season is in full swing, and so is AAA One Transmission. AAA One Transmission is locally owned and operated by Tim Pridgett, who's been servicing the Tallahassee area for over 37 years. Brakes, transmissions, electrical systems, tune-ups, and battery checks. No matter what ails your vehicle, AAA One Transmission can make your automobile healthy again. Don't put off your auto repairs. Stop it at 1023 North Monroe Street or call them at 222-2532.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Are you aware of the new OSHA silica dust regulations that went into effect September 23rd? Are you prepared with the correct solutions to make your employees and your company compliant? DeWalt and Cornerstone Tool & Fastener have a full line of OSHA-compliant solutions ranging from tools to accessories and shrouds and even dust extractors. OSHA rules intend to limit workers' exposure to breathable crystalline silica. DeWalt and Cornerstone are your first line of defense with the solutions you need. Cornerstone Tool & Fastener, 1110 Stuckey Ave and 3269 Crawfordville Highway.
Today, there are over 47 million Ford vehicles on the road, rolling on over 188 million tires. That's a lot of rubber to trust to anyone other than a hardworking specialist at Ford Service. No one knows your Ford better than Ford and Ford Service.
Get a $140 rebate by mail on 4 select tires when you use the Ford Service credit card at the Big Tire event. Subject to credit approval, rebate by prepaid debit card. Other tire manufacturer rebate or offer cannot be combined with Ford Service credit card rebate or offer. See your participating Ford dealer for details through 12/31/17.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio. WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, a pivotal NFC East meeting for the Eagles and Redskins on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia has won 4 straight games versus division opponents, including a victory over Washington in the season opener. Redskins trail the NFC East leading Eagles by a game and a half. Kickoff 8:20 Eastern on ESPN. The season is over for Browns left tackle Joe Thomas after an MRI showed a tear in his left triceps tendon. The injury ended his streak of consecutive snaps at 10,363. NBA, according to ESPN's Chris Haynes. The Suns met with guard Eric Bledsoe before the morning shootaround, then sent him home. He will not be available tonight versus the Kings. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports Phoenix actively engaged in trade talks for Bledsoe, hopes to find a deal soon. Bledsoe had requested a trade in the preseason.
See for yourself why buying a business trip at Upside.com is a triple win. Use code SPORTS and you'll get a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com when you buy your next business trip at Upside.com. You deserve a better business trip. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free. Always don't miss anything, but if you do miss something, we'll post all 3 hours of this here program upon the conclusion of it. And that's with limited commercial interruption. JCS at 979 ESPNRadio.com. Find me on Twitter at J Cameron Show. WTSM app for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. We're joined every Monday by Irash Fell, warchant.com, the website. He joins us now. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'd be better if this team would win a game at home. It'd be nice. I know I'd also be better if you don't pin columns that read with a title, FSU's brutal season continues with no reprieve in sight.
Did make you feel any better?
Well, like you, I like to check what my cohorts in the media are saying after games and just to see if maybe they have a different take on things. So I go through one by one. And, of course, Ira, you're always one of the very first that I click on. And so I get up and I click and I go, oh, well that's a wonderful column headline. Hey, everybody, you guys suck, and it's not getting any better anytime soon. That's a toughie.
Well, here's the challenge about covering a 2-4 football team that starts the year number 3 is you start running out of things to say, Jeff. So we're looking forward now. We're looking. Is there any hope for the near future?
Well, you put it, it's straight and to the point. It's the worst start to a season since the 0-3 beginning in 1974. They were the first Florida State team to start a season 1-3 since 1976. And you mentioned the bowl eligibility and all that good stuff. 35 consecutive Noel teams have gone bowling. 40 straight have posted winning records. And all of that is still out there waiting to be seen, if possible, to achieve. And I guess... By the way, I do want to ask you this because I'm curious. Have you heard anything definitively from the administration or anybody else in the know about when it is that they would announce they are rescheduling the ULM game?
No, I actually don't. I actually spoke to someone over the weekend who I meant to ask that, and I erred. I made the mistake of forgetting to ask it. So, but I'm sure they'll play it. There's no reason not to play it. I think ULM certainly is going to want the money. The only way they get the money is if the game is played. FSU certainly is going to want to play the game, I would think. So I don't know when the announcement's going to come, but I'm sure they're going to play that game in front of, a good
10,000
people, maybe. I don't know, early December.
Yeah, that's a toughie. All right. So I don't know about you, Ira. I was in shock as this game ended. Not that they lost, because that's not shocking, but all manners and ways in which this team loses now. They find new ways to lose. They're clearly going in for the game-winning score. They're going to score a touchdown. Louisville's not a very good team. This looks like it's a foregone conclusion, and then the fumble happens, and you're reminded that when you play games every week that are decided by one possession, you got no margin for error. I wonder, emotionally, is this team going to play up to where they need to be in order to beat a fired-up Boston College team this Friday? What's your hunch on a Monday after yet another loss?
I think this is a tough spot. I really do. I just think that, and that's why that game was so big. And I, talking to a couple of people around the program, not in the program, but people around the athletics department, that they felt, kind of forlorn after that game, because if you win that game, puts you to 3-3. It kind of gives you some spark. You avenge the loss from last year. You go into Boston College with a little bit of energy and excitement. If you win that game, if you can beat Syracuse, or you're going to be favored against at home, now suddenly, man, you got a chance to turn this thing around. It's not going to be the season you wanted, but at least it doesn't feel like a death spiral. But you lose that game, it's just a bad one, and then it puts you in a position where you've got to turn around on no rest. I mean, they were back at practice on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, as you had your interview with Jimbo this morning where he confirmed that Jacquez Patrick's out for the year, who's kind of been one of your emotional leaders on a team that really needs it. I mean, everything that is lining up in this game is kind of lining up against FSU, especially the fact that Boston College seems to have found something and certainly found confidence and is playing great football. So, no, man, there's no reason to feel like FSU is going to play real well in this game, and that was my point. I just don't see how it gets better this week.
Well, I guess then we get into the bigger questions because you're trying to count wins here on a schedule to get bowl eligible, and suddenly if you think that Boston College now might very well be a loss, yeeks. I mean, I don't know where to go here. Delaware State's a win. That gets you to 3. You reschedule ULM. That's 4. You got to win 2 more between Syracuse, Clemson, and Florida, and you're not beating Clemson. So, oh, my, do they get bowl eligible?
I would say I'd lean toward, if I had to call it, I'd say probably not, man. I just don't see it. And the problem, one of the problems they've got right now is, especially with Jacquez Patrick being out, you've got, it's going to be James Blackman and Cam Akers kind of running the show, which is great, except you saw what happened on that last play when you have a true freshman at quarterback. And, nobody's really talking about it because I think everybody's impressed by the fact that James Blackman brings a lot of good things. But, man, he's kind of become a turnover machine the last few weeks. After not having any the first couple weeks, he's had 7 in the last 3. His interceptions per pass attempt is super, super high. I mean, he's got an interception for like one out of every 22 passes, which is not good. And so, that becomes an issue, especially against a defense that blitzes a lot. Again, more youth on offense with, your receivers being banged up. I just think, and then the defense, has not played like this defense was supposed to play. They didn't play terrible. They haven't played terrible all year, but they also haven't really played great. And I think that's the problem. And so, yeah, man, I would not expect them to make a bowl game unless something changes dramatically, but I don't see that happening.
It's going to be curious to see. I think now we start talking big picture stuff and we start getting into things that we just can't know. We're having conversations involving what we all think is a necessity, which is that changes on this staff have to be made. And I guess what I'll do here is pick your brain and ask you, do you think, A, they're forthcoming, and B, do you think they're en masse?
I think they're definitely forthcoming. And yeah, it depends on your definition of en masse. I think I would guess, a couple, maybe at least 2, maybe the minimum is 2, maybe the maximum's 4. I think somewhere in there is probably where it needs to be. And again, it's not a matter of, hey, this guy can't coach or these guys don't know what they're doing. It's just not a good mix right now. This team does not play. I was thinking about it. The thing about football, and you know this better than I do because you played a lot longer than I did, but football is such an unnatural sport in terms of the physical demands. And when you're on a bad baseball team, if you're on a bad baseball team, it still doesn't hurt you to go into the box and take your cuts or to get on the mound and pitch,
right?
Or to field a ball. But if you're on a bad football team, this is a pretty average football team with really bad luck. That's how I would define it. When you're in that situation, you're 2-4. The things that are required to get you to play well, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah,
a lot of sacrifice. And these coaches have not gotten these guys to do it. This season wasn't a disaster from day one. I mean, it's gotten worse and worse, and I just don't think, whatever the message is, I felt very strongly from the beginning. It hasn't been getting through, and you can blame the players all you want, but at the end of the day, it's on the coaches to find the right buttons. It took them halfway through last season to do it. I just think he has to make some changes, and again, tell these guys, hey, look, I'm not mad at you. It just wasn't working. We've got to go in a different direction.
It's really hard to, you talk about run fits and things like that. You're talking about sacrificing your body for the glory of somebody else, for the greater good, right? Nobody necessarily always sees that, but you're about to play a physical game by a team who wants to run the football, and you have to show a willingness on defense to stick your head in there and sacrifice your body to get stops. And I'm not so sure everybody on this team is willing to do that.
Well, and you heard Jimbo today. He's kind of he's tacking with a new approach now, I think, in what he's telling his players. And a few weeks ago he went to hey, you need to put out good film for the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think that maybe has worked. So now he's really preaching the idea that, look, let's focus on the individual plays. Let's kind of go back to basics and really focus on fundamentals. Don't worry about anything else anymore. Just worry about fundamentals. Playing the plays right, the process, all that kind of stuff, which seems like kind of going back to the beginning. But I think he's just trying to figure out what he can do to salvage this season. I think that they were fooled at the end of last season. I think that they thought that they had righted the ship, and they didn't. And so now here we are.
I can't imagine the toll this is taking on these coaches and on Jimbo Fisher in particular, given how competitive he is and how successful he's always been, whether it be as a player in competing or whether it be as a coach. By and large, he's had immense success, and that includes being here at Florida State and winning a national championship and conference titles, et cetera. To have this season has to be jarring. You have to be confronted with the reality that maybe some of what you're doing needs to change. That's hard for every coach in college football, or especially pro football, is they've got pride, they've got an ego, they certainly have a belief in a system and a way of doing things, and when it doesn't give you results, it's got to be tough to know that I've got to do something different than the way I've always done it.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, there's no doubt. And and Jimbo today, when I think Corey asked him a question along those lines about evaluating what he's done, and he said, "Well, we did that anyway. If we were winning, if we're 14-0,
we still do that.
Evaluation." Right. But I think there are things that he probably wouldn't considered in the past that he really needs to revisit now. I mean, again, I think you go into at the end of a season, if things are going pretty well, you focus on the areas that you had problems, and maybe you look at the other areas, but you really focus on the areas you have problems. I honestly think he needs to. I mean, it needs to be top to bottom, every single thing he does, and I mean everybody on the staff, himself, what he does, calling plays, the offensive system. Because, there's a lot of layers to all this. I mean, the offensive system, again, there are a lot of positives to it, but there are some negatives to it as well. And we're seeing that with a true freshman quarterback. So I just think that, everything has to be on the table, literally everything. And he says he already does that. But I think you after a season like this, you have to do it to an even higher level.
Yeah, to a much greater extent. I think you're right. And I think there would be no avoiding that. And that's why I'm not as, I hear some people, they write into us or they call in or they tweet at us and they don't believe that he'll do it. I'm not so sure. I think he will. I think he's probably mortified by this because that's a guy that absolutely hates losing. And you know that. And I got to imagine he's like, well, son of a bitch, this is unacceptable. He knows it's unacceptable. That's why, and I give him credit for this, I did it last week and I'll do it again. That's why he has repeatedly noted that the media has a job to do and that fans, he understands, are frustrated. Now, on that note, I will say, not a good look. Were you surprised he doubled down today about the exchange with the fan?
Yeah, it's a mistake to me. This isn't a big issue. It's not the biggest deal in the world. I kind of hate that it's become a big deal, but no, what he should have said was, you know what? I'm looking to the future. I'm not focused on that. We're just going to move on. And because there's nothing good that came of it. And you know what he did? I think today is he basically invited everybody who wants to do that and wants to get all the trolls that are out there on the internet who happen to be in the stadiums he's at now, I think are going to be more and more active and try to get his attention. All it does is kind of, when you acknowledge him, it just kind of feeds them more. And so I think it was a mistake. I think it was a mistake on Saturday. I think it was a mistake to double down on it today. But at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. He just needs to, it's going to happen again now. I think it's going to happen more and more, and he's going to have to figure out a way to handle it better.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's emboldened people who would be inclined to do such a thing to begin with. Good talking to you, brother. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Jeff. See you, man.
All right, take care. That's Ira Schoffel, warchant.com. Yeah, I'm glad. You know what? He and I see this eye to eye, are on this at the same place. Where when I first heard about it and hadn't seen the exchange, I thought, oh no, because these are the kinds of things when you see it happen at other programs, you go, That sometimes can lead to firings, etc. But when I saw that there wasn't a physical exchange and nobody put their hands on anybody, and it was just a verbal, and there was no cursing or anything like that.
Well, and based upon the video, it's kind of like a flyby too.
Yeah,
you know,
it's really quick, but it's not a good look, and it's not what you do, and you ought not ever do it.
It's not the end of the world like you guys are just talking about, but I will say when I saw it on Twitter that it happened, I thought,
no.
Knowing how mad Jimbo can get.
Sure, yes.
And you picture that happening, him looking into the stands and getting as mad as he possibly can get. That's what I had in my head. It wasn't even close to that.
No. But it does reveal a little something of the frustration that he's going through and the players are going through and the situation they find themselves in. Without question. I mean, it's all indicative of the kind of thing that happens when a season goes spiraling down the drain. I mean, this is the stuff you see.
Yes, you know he's seething. Yes, this is true.
Well, but I think, to me, I think without question that there's a guy that gets that the fans are irate. He has said it 3 weeks. I mean, I think it's been smart for him to acknowledge that the fans are right to be pissed. And it's smart for him to acknowledge that he's going to earn criticism from the press, people who are paid to give opinions and talk about a program or college football in general. They're going to criticize him for losing football games with all of this talent. Yes, that's going to happen every time.
Well,
and he's acknowledged that.
Yes, in the interest of being thorough about Jimbo's response today, too, during the press conference, he does come back after there's a follow-up question about the fan, and he says, I understand where he's coming from. I know he's mad. You know why he's mad? Because he loves Florida State. So, I mean, it's not the time or place for me. I don't expect that from our fans in the stadium. And
right.
Whatever. I'd still leave that talking point alone.
Mm-hmm.
But he's saying, I know where the guy's coming from.
Yeah.
It's out of a place of passion for the university.
Yeah, no, nothing good can come out of interacting in an angry way with fans if you're a head football coach. It's part of...
And it's not the time to tell the fans what to do and what not to do.
Well, it's also part of why you're paid so handsomely, is to be above that, is to walk away from those kinds of things, is to understand that fans are going to be fans, and sometimes fans are absolutely irrational, and you can't be. You have to be above board here. You're paid over $5 million a year to ignore that sort of thing and go about the task of winning football games and figuring out why you're losing football games. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Ooh, one is sweet and the other one's savory. I'm going Thanksgiving.
Again. 16 Candles or Back to the Future.
Oh, my goodness. John Hughes or what's that boy's name? Marty McFly. I'm going 16 Candles.
Papa Grande with a Gordo smash. And by the way, I want that. Or a mountain of delicious croquetas. Also with a Gordo smash.
Trick question. Either way, you're not going to lose.
Exactamundo, my brother. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
It's been called shell shock, war neurosis, and battle fatigue. Today, we call it post-traumatic stress disorder, and it affects 1 out of every 5 warriors returning from battle in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Wounded Warrior Project offers comfort and support for warriors with PTSD and all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
The secret to better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine? Super Lube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles. The secret to even better gas mileage? Fuel Joules, a gas tank additive that'll increase your MPG by as much as 7%. And today, when you change your oil at Super Lube, you get a free bottle of Fuel Joules. Crystal Matthews and Amber Cossack own Solid Start, the company that makes Fuel Joules.
Every time we sell a bottle of Fuel Joules, a donation will be made to the National Breast Cancer Foundation.
And October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
There are 19 Tallahassee area Super Lubes. There's probably one right around the corner right now. Free offer valid without coupons or discounts.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient and explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit MMTCFL.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. There were other things that actually happened over the weekend, like the Astros remaining perfect in Houston and bouncing the Yankees with a 4-0 win and going to the World Series, their second all-time as a franchise. Charlie Morton, former Pirate, tossing 5 scoreless. Getting it done. Heartbreaking to see the Yankees bounced. Or not at all. Wonderful celebration. What are you laughing about?
It's just that there's good joy and schadenfreude in those eyes.
True joy in watching them lose.
It makes me smile and laugh because I haven't seen it in a little while.
Joy in my eyes about sports?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the Bucks, if you're a Bucks fan and a Nole, what football did to you this weekend, as it has much of the year, was get a running start and kick you in the testicles because it was the same damn game. The only difference being that Jameis Winston was the best player in the NFL over the weekend and didn't get rewarded with a win. Against that defense on the road with no run game, he throws for nearly 400 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Okay, I'll acknowledge the pick. But does everything you can do to win a football game with a bad shoulder on the road, and that defense gives up a touchdown in 46 seconds, and then Humphreys follows it up with a fumble on the first completed pass of the next drive. And thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate you, football. Go to hell. That's how this weekend felt.
That's about right.
Yeah. That's I chuckled.
The similarities were crazy. Again, the offense carrying the Bucs on Sunday is the big difference from what we saw on Saturday and Sunday. But situationals, There's a lot of similarities, even down to the end of the half botching of situations by both Bobby Petrino on Saturday and then McDermott and the coaching staff for the Bills on Sunday, where they're tackled in bounds with no timeouts and 8 seconds to go. Whoops. So 2 free field goals on the heels of turnovers, interceptions by your quarterback, aren't actually cashed in for points. And then, you look like you're taking the lead on Saturday. You do take the lead on Sunday, only to have untimely fumbles with the game tied in the waning moments, and field goal. Good night Saturday. Have a decent afternoon and evening on Sunday.
Yeah, no, when that happened, I chuckled a little bit, and then I said, well, you know what I thought about? The fact that the Yankees had been so good at home but could not muster any of that magic away from Yankee Stadium once they left their beloved ballpark. Just nothing to really show for it there, and I thought about that repeatedly.
With that being said, and
hits. They had 3 hits in Game 7. For the 3 hits.
Schadenfreude fully engaged. It was a great series.
Yeah, it was.
That was a great series.
Yeah.
Baseball has been a nice little respite from watching this game we know as football, because even the game last night was atrocious.
Oh, it was a terrible game, and I don't care anything about either one of those teams, but yeah, terrible game. I will say that there are elements of the college football season that I'm rather enjoying, just in terms of what I think it sets up for. I mean, look, this NC State-Notre Dame game is going to be a great game after Notre Dame did what we thought they would, which is just demolish Southern Cal, who's not very good.
It's such a weird one because, like you said in the latter part of the week, when everybody's on it, usually it doesn't happen that way.
Now, but it does.
Oh, it was right.
Well, here's the thing about Vegas. They couldn't have been more wrong. It's 3.5, and I felt like at the start of the week, which is why I picked it and bet it and talked about it more than once, Notre Dame's going to kill Southern Cal. Why does Vegas think this is going to be close? And that's what caused me to get concerned. I thought, is there something I'm not aware of? Am I not? Because I've watched Southern Cal play and I've watched Notre Dame play more than once for both those teams, and I see 2 totally different programs. I see one going in the right direction and another one who has a dearth of defensive linemen, can't stop the run, and what's Notre Dame doing? Running the football. This is not going to end well. And remember, Southern Cal killed Notre Dame last year, and this is all part of that transformation we're talking about earlier with Brian Kelly. These changes were made in part, not just because they lost 8 games, but because they got bludgeoned by Southern Cal, who turned it around at the end of last year. And now, all of a sudden, that turnaround turned out not to be indicative of where they were going. And Notre Dame's 4-8 season turned out not to be where they're going. And so it's just fascinating to watch and to see, and maybe in some ways uplifting if you're in need of some uplifting. And I think we all are. Also, Penn State, Michigan, I took Penn State. I didn't think the score would be that lopsided, 42-13. They certainly avenged the blowout loss from a year ago to Michigan, and it's a whiteout crowd, and that's pretty cool when you watch Penn State do that, by the way. That's their 16th straight regular season game that they've won, which is the second longest active streak in FBS behind Alabama, who's won 31 straight. Saquon Barkley, you get a 69-yard touchdown on your first carry, get you some Michigan.
To me, the best part of the weekend in football had nothing to do with the game. Did you see the piece by Andrea Kramer on NFL Network yesterday regarding Tom Brady and his mom and her battle with cancer?
I have seen that, yeah.
It's really well done. It's about 6-7 minutes for anybody who just wants you may need to watch it alone because some of the stuff, especially when, there's videos of her as she's going through treatment and his dad's reactions. But that's a great and uplifting story when you might need, again, like you just got done saying, some uplifting. Yes.
We're all looking for uplifting.
Anything.
Every which way to Sunday. I'm looking. We got some more uplifting over here, a little bit of uplifting over here. I was, if you're a Michigan fan, you went at the end of last year after. It's so funny to look at, Florida State, where we're at right now, where Michigan's at. It's the end of last year, Florida State beats Michigan in the Orange Bowl, and we look at that roster. I remember doing the pregame show and saying, I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen a team that has this many seniors as Michigan did. So you figured there would be a drop-off, and there has been, especially offensively. But you know that he's recruited well, so you're going to get good effort on defense. And going into this season, Michigan, points per game, we're giving up 14 points a game. They've been smothering on defense. They give up 42 to Penn State. They were giving up 220 yards a game. That's it on defense. They give up 506 in this football game to Penn State. They, per rush, were only averaging giving up 2.6 a game. Now, some of that's skewed with some of the lesser-tier teams, but they give up 6.4 on Saturday night. 21% third down rate, best in football. They gave up 57% on Saturday. Michigan's going to have a tough rest of the year. Tough year. There's nothing going for them on offense, and at some point your defense begins to sag, and you're seeing it.
Well, it's a good thing they got that win over Florida. Remember, we were talking about that one's in your back pocket for the rest of the year because both programs are likely to have serious conversations as we get towards the end of the season.
A lot of programs having serious conversations.
Good Lord.
How about the Florida State-Florida game on the tail end of November there? How about that one, huh?
I think, usually the
25th, we'll be sitting there wringing hands, but also wondering, where are these two programs?
Usually the dining room table on many of Thanksgiving are loud and braggadocious.
Nope.
I think it's just going to be quiet. There's going
Pass
to be
the cranberry sauce. You suck. Yeah, well, so do you. Yep.
And then there's the sound of a knife on a plate.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Notre Dame, by the way, mentioned their big win. Multiple 100-yard rushers. If you go through and look at the time that they've had two guys do it in a game, Georgia Tech's done it 4 times. Notre Dame's done it 4. Navy's done it 3. So Notre Dame can run. Man, they have latched on to that identity of run it, play great defense. There it is.
Well, and here you go. NC State on Saturday. It's a great game.
Great game. One we're going to wager on. Because I know you're leaning.
You got a
towards
hunch
NC
on those Irish.
I do. I've been on the Irish for a little while, man. The game against Georgia impressed me. I remember actually that turned out to be a feather in the cap of both programs for what the season was going to be. I remember walking away from that game going, these two teams.
Yeah. Remember when people said that about Notre Dame and Texas to kick off last season?
Jeff Cameron, Show 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra E-Max 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Is this end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
RCD Shell has great prices on Mountain Dew Kickstart cans and Dew 20-ounce flavors like Code Red and Voltage, all just 99 cents. Stay hydrated and recharged with the energy boost you need to keep going strong with Kickstart and Code Red and Voltage, all just 99 cents at RCD Shell stores.
Tallahassee loves the corner pocket as much as a crystal ball winning catch.
He's looking, he wants it to the end zone. It's Benjamin! Touchdown! With 13 seconds left.
The 97.9 ESPN radio special is a must-have every Monday and Wednesday at the corner pocket. 10 mouth-watering wings, a fresh side of fries, and a chilled domestic pint of beer are just $9.79 all day long. Be sure and try the fish blend of sauces, a true wing eater's favorite. The Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
He's gone!
Home of Trivia Tuesday, Beer Bingo Thursday, and the daily $7.99 lunch special.
Barry knows cool. He's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool. You can put him to the test.
You
You can always count on the Knowles to deliver. But what about your home comfort system? If your system is older or giving you problems, call the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning to check it out. Make the right call this season and turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Go Knowles. License number CAC 057652.
Can't decide between fresh steak, seafood, or wings? Well, Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway has it all. From center-cut sirloin and original pastas to fresh salads and favorites like Miller's Signature Zingers, tossed in your favorite sauce. Miller's Ale House has a full-service bar featuring more than 75 beers, plus wine and liquors. Bring the family to watch the big game inside or on their covered patio on one of over 60 HD TVs. However you come to relax, you will have a good time and great food at Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford.
Might I suggest the chicken taco salad from Banditos Burritos, my friend?
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4-DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. Our lifetime warranty is a game changer for buying cars in Tallahassee and Thomasville. You already know it extends the factory powertrain for unlimited time and unlimited miles. But here are the facts. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty is backed by Great American Insurance Company, an A-rated company that was founded in 1872 with billions in assets. The same company that underwrites GM's GMPP and Ford's Gap Insurance. Kraft Nissan's lifetime warranty comes with every new Nissan we sell and most pre-owned vehicles that are 5 years old or newer with 50,000 miles or less. While Kraft Nissan Service Department will certainly exceed your expectations and keep your records, you're not required to service with us. To maintain the warranty, you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance and keep your records. You can do that at any licensed repair shop in the U.S. or Canada. It's that easy. What's the catch? There are no catches, hidden fees, or gimmicks. Kraft Nissan provides the product as an added value to our customers for doing business with us. So when you're ready to buy from Kraft Nissan, the home of our original and the only real lifetime warranty at no charge. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experimag of Tallahassee. Experimag, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Yeah, it's Beer 30. Let's do this thing, buddy. Cue it up.
Count 'em up, pour 'em out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway.
Good old Mix and Match Monday. $1 off all Mix and Match 6-packs plus cup clubbers. It is hard. You're right, Tom. Can drown their football sorrows for cheap. There you go. Come on, cup clubbers.
That's right. You know, that sound clip every once in a while, not every day it makes me laugh, but every once in a while it just hits me.
It's great.
Yeah.
It makes me smile.
The Simpsons has been around forever, but...
And it's really good.
It's really good.
Did you know this? Alabama's plus 200-point differential through 5 conference games is the best in Southeastern Conference history. It's funny because I have to reconcile the idea that when you watch Alabama dominate the vast majority of the teams in the SEC that they're facing, you feel like they can still be had when you watch them. You feel like if they face, obviously they have to face an elite quarterback, which is the only time they really ever lose again in the SEC and in general. And then B, you got to get somebody, a team that, because we almost did it. And when I look at what Florida State did in doing a good job against the run and forcing him to throw the football, you have your recipe. It's just a matter of whether or not it can be done. Whether or not you can do which is what we were talking about, what, has to be done. You know what it is, but it's awfully tough to do.
I felt pretty damn good about us at halftime of the Florida State-Alabama game. I felt pretty good. I said, oh, man, you know what? We're hanging with these guys. We were the better team, drive for drive. Need to come away with more points than that. Situationally, we didn't play that great. But we were the better team out there for 30 minutes. Since then, it's been a tough year.
Yeah, and I keep thinking about how, man, you go back to that game, you could not have known at the time that it would end up being this, but when I see that Tennessee's only points came on a pick six, Alabama every week does what you think you should do when you have better players, when you have a better team. It's the ability. Now, I'll grant you, things are different. Not everybody can be Alabama. Obviously, you'd aspire to be, but situations are different. Nobody's Alabama. So it's not just us. It's nobody right now is anywhere close to what Alabama is. It's not the wins. The wins are great. It's the domination, man. It's the domination, especially on defense. You know how many total yards Tennessee had in that game?
136.
108.
Okay.
They had 108 yards. They threw for 44. They averaged 2 yards per play. Sweet Jesus, man. 2 yards per play. What? That's just 2 more yards than I averaged against Alabama by myself on Saturday per play. That's unbelievable. They converted 8% of their third downs.
Oh, no.
8%. 1 of 12.
So they converted a third down. That's what I was about to say. They converted a third down.
They had a total of 7 first downs. Total. They didn't score a single offensive touchdown. All of this is the worst of any statistic. All of the ones I just named, a couple were tied. All of the worst in Butch Jones' era. It hadn't been a good era. That's that has hurt your feelings kind of stuff right there.
Those were nice times when we had that moment in the sun, weren't they?
Whew. Well, and when I look around the ACC and we talk about what's possible and who's going to will there be an ACC representative in the college football playoff, I'm inclined to say no right now. But I will note that you talk about falling on hard times and, from one year to the next, North Carolina got beat 59-7 over the weekend by Virginia Tech, 59-7. North Carolina, boy, it was just a couple of years ago that we.
Their kid was doing the chop at our stadium last year.
Unbelievable.
He's running around our field doing the chop last year. That's where they were.
Yeah, that is something. USF 34-28, and the reason that's important, it's the 24th straight game scoring at least 30 points in a game. It's the longest streak in the AP poll era. Again, let me repeat that. 24th straight game scoring at least 30 points.
Thanks for the late cover, Tulane.
Our offense scored 21 against Louisville. That is really freaking frustrating. I don't want to be USF. Every weekend there's something, there's a number, there's a moment where you go, oh, well, good God, man. It's terrible to have apathy set in where you literally kind of chuckle and you're like, well, hey.
But that's the thing about
another loss.
About the 60 minutes, there is a sense of apathy, and there has been for a little while. It's about, again, what can you take with you? There are moments, but, we said it Friday, especially Saturday in the pregame show. Here's the chance against the worst defense you've seen all season long.
You got 157 yards at halftime, a grand total of 36 yards on 13 plays in the second quarter. We look at the end of games, but, you got to really hyper-focus on areas where, it doesn't have to get to that place at the end. You have to do more in that second quarter. You have to do more in that third quarter.
Well, you have the one long possession to start out, and it's long because it takes all that time off the clock, and you miss the field goal there. And you know what sucks about that possession too is that play to Tate. That's a big play if he completes that pass, but there's pressure and he throws it behind Tate because it looks like they got it blocked up for Tate to get sprung on the outside. But still, I mean, the way you're running the ball, maybe you could run it right at him in that situation. I don't know. That's just that's a rough sequence. And then the first play of the next drive is the pick over the middle where Jackson is the intended receiver down the field.
Yeah, it's you lose the turnover battle in this game. You do a couple things better than you've been doing it, including that in the red zone where you score touchdowns finally in the red zone when you get there. But you still don't run nearly for what we thought was possible with the talent you have. I mean, Boston College with a true freshman ran for over 200 yards against Louisville's defense. Cam Akers is a really talented kid. Chuck Patrick runs hard as a talented kid. I would have thought a little bit more in the run game was going to happen. Again, having said all of that, you're going to win the football game if you don't fumble there. And so at this point, I know it's a little bit hollow, but a win, I'll take a win. Got to muster a win.
So you said on the Man Cave show, by a hook or crook.
Yeah.
Not hook or crook.
No.
By hook or crook.
So, by the way, I do think, and this is a bit of a projection here early in the week, but it's an early game. We play on Friday night, so it's not your traditional thorough 5 days of vetting. Nope. Here you go. You'll know in the first quarter whether or not Florida State is willing to sacrifice their body, stop the run, and play football in a way that allows them to get this win. They're the better team. They're infinitely better than Boston College. It's not close. It's not close at all. So it's going to be a matter of effort.
But the problem is those guys in the other sidelines,
well, they believe.
They're going to be dudes.
Oh, they are going to be dudes. And that guy right now has them having fun, and there is nothing better.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
I'd love to be in that locker room to hear that pregame speech.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
They probably feel like they deserve to go to the college football playoff right about now with all the points they're putting up.
Every time we win, we have Pastry Monday.
I would like to enjoy Pastry Monday, Coach.
What's better than this? Guys being dudes.
I wish in that moment where he says, what you got there, a pastry, you would have had the mics, on, hot, and recorded. So we would have always had the soundbite of Adazio saying, what you got there, a pastry? Which is, of course, what he would say.
Well, yeah, my response to him was, no, it's actually a bagel. It's my Northeastern roots. It's breakfast. And he goes, Like he respected the answer.
Like he's like, oh, it's a pretty thorough answer, too, by the way. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, not just a pastry. It's a bagel.
He's buttoned up over here.
Well done.
He's got his morning bagel.
Where's his host? Here I am sprinting.
Looking at the escalator.
Here I am sprinting in with my tall coffee. We can do this, Coach.
Where preparation meets execution.
Well, let me tell you, the best part about that is the interview. It took an immediate serious tone. I came out swinging, so he had to deal with whoa, I didn't expect that.
Yeah, he was mad at you.
I thought there'd be some sort of contrition here by Cameron. No, not at all.
Well, what he expected was the general question he got. So, Coach, tell me a little bit about the offseason, to get you rolling.
No.
And he said, what can you reasonably
what is
expect
fair
to do?
What can you reasonably expect at a place like Boston College
that doesn't prioritize football?
My favorite part of that is you actually had a visceral reaction. You went because you were surprised. I caught you off guard too. You were like, well,
it was subtle though.
Come out swinging.
I didn't make any physical reaction.
But you were like, well, that's a hell of a question to ask him in this situation.
In this particular situation, he's already perturbed.
Yeah. Well,
I know people don't want to see me and talk to me.
But you know what? They do, Coach. But this time they want to talk to you after a loss on Friday night. Give whatever effort you deem necessary, but one that leads to a loss. I don't know that we can take any more on our side. Have some mercy here.
Man, I'll bet if we called up there, we could get him on this week.
I don't want to do that.
You don't want to have him on?
I don't want to have him on this week.
Coach, can you reasonably expect to win 3 games by scoring 30 or more points at Boston College?
I mean, how in the hell have you done what you've done this year? You were dead and buried. It was over. You started the year as poor as it could start. And now look at you. Game. We don't give up around here, that's why. And then he would just go into whatever it is, and then you'd have to – and then we'd be inspired for the – and then no. Damn it, man. They have played well. That result against Virginia shocks me. Almost as much as the result. Well, the way that they dismantled that Virginia team
as our
who's
game's
been playing
going,
well.
Yeah, as our game's going, like, well, that's a good start. 16-0 or whatever, and you're like, whoa. It keeps going.
Well,
the ticker just keeps going.
I just think if I listen, the upset over Louisville, you kind of, we already have a raised eyebrow to Louisville. Of course, that makes it all the harder to accept that they came in here and won. But anyhow, you already had a raised eyebrow to Louisville, and then watching. We've seen this Boston College team play. I mean, they're not a great football team. They haven't even played all that well prior to this little run. Where did this come from? You would not have seen this coming.
Came from Pastry Monday.
I just think I would never have given them the chance to score over 40 points in a football game once this year, at any point, against like a Division II team.
That's why, man. Well, they'll do this to you now. You remember, they ran for
500 yards against – that's what you thought about.
Yes.
They ran for over 500 yards against Southern Cal. By the way, if you're wondering, so they won 41-10 against Virginia. They won 45-42 against Louisville. That's on the heels of only scoring 10 points against Virginia Tech. They did drop 28 on Central Michigan.
Well, that was when we were doing W's and L's, we said, oh, boy, that Central Michigan game. We didn't think about, Louisville being a W.
They're 4-4 going into this game Friday night, right? So they're 4-4. We're 2-4. They've got a bye week after this game to get right. Then they face NC State. Careful, NC State.
Uh-oh.
That game's in BC.
It's
at
right.
BC.
Is it on a Thursday night?
I don't know. November the 11th. Is that? No, that's a Saturday. So then they face NC State, Connecticut on the road. They'll beat Connecticut. That's a big CBS-SS game, not just a CBS-S game. You know what I mean? Not the regular CBS.
That's 393 on the dial.
Yeah, that's a CB. I'll be tuned in. And then they've got Syracuse at the end of the year.
Oh, this is a big game for them.
Huge.
They win this one, they're bowl eligible. They're going bowling.
You would think.
And maybe we're not.
Well, we lose this game, I think there's a real good chance we're not going bowling. By the way, if you know how I said it's kind of stunning to watch North Carolina. They haven't won a conference game. They're 1-7. North Carolina's 1-7. Duke, by the way, which we caught at the right time, as I said before, and then look at that team at 1-4 in the conference, 4-4 overall. That was a struggle.
It's been a long year, man. And there's still
where to go.
There's plenty of year to go. We got more.
Wake's 1-3 in the ACC, 4-3 overall with no.
I know we're not doing the X's and O's thing today. I got you. But can I just say one thing that worries me specifically about Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker play was shaky on Saturday.
When you began the word shaky, I heard the SH.
Oh, no.
And I went, well, good Lord, Tom.
He's just
we
giving
just
up.
throwing caution to the wind.
Hey, FCC,
We've just
get
said,
you some of this.
Care. I just don't care. We're 2-4. I'm just going to say it. Final hour, forthcoming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahendra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
TNT. I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
800-466-9625.
Do you want the cleanest used car, truck, or SUV at the lowest price? FranksAutoWorld.com. How has Frank's Auto World become Tallahassee's fastest growing used car dealer? Simple. Frank carries up to 70 of the cleanest used cars, trucks, and SUVs, then prices them on the internet lower than the competition. Think I'm kidding? Type in FranksAutoWorld.com on your smartphone, iPad, or desktop. Get multiple pictures and even a free Carfax of each vehicle and a rating by Car Gurus showing you the price is a good deal. FranksAutoWorld.com.
Welcome to Wells Fargo. How can I help you?
Well, every day I get a latte from across the street, and trust me, it's best for everyone that I come to work caffeinated. Only today, I forgot my wallet.
Don't worry. We have a new way you can get money out of the ATM. Just use your phone.
My phone?
Just open your Wells Fargo app and request a one-time access code.
Oh, that's better.
Enjoy the latte.
You have done a great service for the people in my office.
No problem.
Wells Fargo is building better every day with new ways to access your accounts. Wells Fargo Bank N.A., member FDIC.
We're changing things up at Chili's. Even our song is changing.
Our old song was Baby Back, Baby Back, Baby Back. It was about ribs because that was our thing.
Everything's getting an update.
Our new menu is totally different. We made your favorite things a lot bigger.
We made our new burger half a pound. That's much bigger.
And the ribs are 30% bigger. The fajitas are way bigger too.
48% actually. But that's like impossible to sing.
I don't know, maybe just let me try it. The fajitas have 48% more fajitas. Oh baby, Chili's is back. Baby back, baby back.
Hey, handsome, what's happening?
I'm ready for a beer, my man. How are you?
I am fantastic. This weather is beautiful.
Perfect, and I have a question for you. Snow cone or candy apple?
Ooh, both are sticky.
Both are tasty.
Candy apple.
No, that's the wrong answer. Halloween or Thanksgiving?
Ooh, one is sweet and the other one's savory. I'm going Thanksgiving.
Again. 16 Candles or Back to the Future?
Oh, my goodness. John Hughes or what's that boy's name? Marty McFly? I'm going 16 Candles.
Papa Grande with a Gordo smash. And by the way, I want that. Or a mountain of delicious croquetas. Also with a Gordo smash.
Trick question. Either way, you're not going to lose.
Exactamundo, my brother. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Contact your local CenturyLink retail store to enter for a chance to win the CenturyLink Ultimate Football Fan Experience, which includes a trip to the biggest game of the year. For eligibility and official rules, go to CenturyLinkFanForLife.com/FAQ. CenturyLink, your link to what's next.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Right now, a pivotal NFC East meeting for the Eagles and Redskins on Monday Night Football. Philadelphia has won 4 straight games versus division opponents, including a victory over Washington in the season opener. Redskins trail the NFC East leading Eagles by a game and a half. Kickoff 8:20 Eastern on ESPN. The season is over for Browns left tackle Joe Thomas after an MRI showed a tear in his left triceps tendon. The injury ended his streak of consecutive snaps at 10,363. NBA, according to ESPN's Chris Haynes. The Suns met with guard Eric Bledsoe before the morning shootaround, then sent him home. He will not be available tonight versus the Kings. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports Phoenix actively engaged in trade talks for Bledsoe hopes to find a deal soon. Bledsoe had requested a trade in the preseason.
See for yourself why buying a business trip at Upside.com is a triple win. Use code SPORTS, and you'll get a minimum $100 gift card to Amazon.com when you buy your next business trip at Upside.com. You deserve a better business trip. Minimum purchase required. See site for complete details.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least for today. Thanks for tuning to it. Good Monday, folks. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming, free always. Don't miss anything, but if you do miss something, well, we post it all 3 hours, that is. Limited commercial interruption, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. You can always email the show if you like. It's jcs@979 ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameron Show. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And we're on YouTube if you want to watch us perform the show. Go to ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube, and you'll find it. Florida State falls to 2-4. Yes, that's a way to spend a Monday talking about that. But we did. Jimbo Fisher sat down with me last night. Well, excuse me, this morning. Normally it's last night. Called me, in fact, and we did the interview. You'll hear that at the bottom of the hour, and it'll sound slightly dated because he's since had another press conference, but we'll probably leave that as is, and you can listen to the conversation because I do have him address the fact that this team continues to sputter and find ways to lose and now is winless at home. And you begin to ask yourself, will they become bowl eligible? Will they be a team that is playing postseason football? Will they keep some of the streaks that we hold so near and dear to our hearts alive? I don't know. I think it's seriously in question. I think it depends on Friday night, frankly, because Boston College in a short week, coming off a big win, back-to-back games in which they've scored over 40 points. They're running the football. They're playing inspired defense. There's a passion that has been ignited there. They believe, certainly, I'm sure they believe that they can pull off the upset. They're going to smell blood in the water. There's no doubt about that. And now, do you have the requisite what for to go on the road to compete in a short week coming off obviously a terrible way to end a football game because Florida State had fought back, got equal, was driving for the go-ahead scores on the 20-yard line, is likely going to score and win this football game. Instead, the freshman quarterback, James Blackman, who has lately looked a little bit more like a freshman in terms of turnovers, turns it over here. And then Louisville is set up to do what all teams do against our defense with the game on the line, drive the field and score. And so the frustration that has been this season carries over yet another week. And now the frustration has led to some fans yelling at Jimbo Fisher and the coaches as they come off the field. Things have turned ugly. Coach Fisher engages briefly with an exchange with a fan. Obviously, that's not the kind of publicity you want to see the university and head coach get after yet another loss, but it happened today. Jimbo Fisher doubling down in his press conference that he doesn't regret it, really coming from the angle that, hey, I'm defending my coaches and my players. Players were not being attacked here. Coaches were. Coach Fisher citing that, hey, listen, some of their kids were right there in that tunnel, and I'm going to stick up for my guys. Okay, well, wherever side of the fence you are on with that, it's certainly not a good look. And I do know this. It's the thing that's indicative of a program in a bad place. When you see it at other programs, when you watch it from afar, and we've all seen this happen where teams are having bad years, coaches who are otherwise they've been largely successful or under the gun, if you will, and having a tough year, when you see them begin to buckle and have weird press conferences and yell at fans, you begin to scratch your head and wonder whether or not they can get out from under that. And I think that's where we are now as fans, wondering what changes will be made in the offseason, how many of those changes are necessary. Can you flip the culture? Can you turn it into something that once was just a few years ago. Florida State was one of the best programs in all of college football under Jimbo Fisher. 29 straight wins, player after player going in the first and second round of the draft, a national champion. You know that he has the acumen for the game to get it done, but does he have the ability to put loyalty aside and do what's necessary here and make changes? But the problem with that is that these are games, and there are games still to be played, and they affect the way you feel week to week. Florida State's got BC, Syracuse, Clemson, Delaware State, Florida, and if they reschedule it, the ULM game's still to play. And what you do in those games will shape the conversation. Right now, there's a whole lot of support, I think, for Jimbo Fisher. There are some. I would say that's a minority of people in the fan base that would like to see Jimbo leave. I think the vast majority of the fan base think that Jimbo Fisher should still be the head football coach. They believe in him, but they believe also that he's got to make tough decisions and, moreover, has to let some coaches go and bring in some new blood in here and perhaps an uptick in enthusiasm and a new way of doing things.
The hard part about this game, is it's gut-wrenching the way it finishes, but it's also over at 28-14 with a fourth down incompletion. And you get kind of lucky there with a call that never goes our way. Whether or not you agree with the call, period, that call never goes our way, especially with the crew that was on the field on Saturday.
Yeah, first of all, that's not a late hit. That's not roughing the passer. It's not, I say this all the time. If I'm going to be consistent, I have to be consistent here. Can we play some damn football? But, hey, we benefited from it in the moment. And I thought, well, I've seen it go the wrong way against us countless times, so I'll take it and run. And you end up getting a touchdown in which you have to recover a fumble in the end zone, which is also luck. You had a scoop and score earlier this game, which is kind of random and not always something that you can count on. So you had a lot of things go your way here, and you still lose.
Yeah, for a season that has featured an awful lot of footballs bouncing, against Florida State or big calls going against Florida State, the inches, that are out there just never really finding their way into Florida State's column in a big moment. You had a couple of things go your way here, and I even said it to you. If I'm a Louisville fan and I see Florida State, just like in 2014, fumble into the end zone and then recover it for a touchdown.
I'm thinking, what the hell?
To preserve the game, to preserve a chance to win the game. I'm thinking in that moment, well, we're losing this one. I've seen this song and dance. It's called 2014 on a Thursday night. Nick O'Leary recovering a fumble in the end zone. And then the throw to Nooney, for the game-tying touchdown is outstanding. The drive they're engineering after they get a big fourth down stop is great until it's not, until it's just absolutely, like I said before, gut-wrenching. There's a lot of ins and outs to the game, but the hard part about this one is it was kind of already lost, and then they gave you more hope, and then the hope was taken away. So it's just, man, this is why you get paid the big bucks, right? If you're Jimbo. It's not just about how to manage things and get them to a winning place.
Well, it's when things go wrong, yeah.
When things go wrong, what decisions do you make, and how do you keep kids motivated? How do you keep them in the fight? Because they know it, and Jimbo says it in the preseason. You come to Florida State for high expectations.
Yeah, to win football games, to play for championships, to take home conference titles, to win state championships, and to play on the highest and best stage in all the land, prime time usually, all that stuff. And Florida State hasn't been doing that, and they won't do it again this year. So it's a tough place, and I think Coach Fisher, is a guy that, listen, in the years that I've had an opportunity to interview him and talk to him, when you just sit down and talk to him, and certainly you know this, and anybody that covers the team or anybody that pays close attention knows, the question is not whether or not he knows football. Good Lord, I've never met a man who knows more about football than Jimbo Fisher, but that really is irrelevant at this point. It's how the program is run and whether or not they're performing, and they're not. They are not. So at this point, and I cited it last hour, and I'll bring it up again here just briefly. Go read the Pete Thamel piece from March of this year before spring football started, in which he talks about Brian Kelly having to make radical changes at Notre Dame. I'm not saying the two situations are exactly parallel, but obviously you're talking about a prideful man who's had a lot of success, having to look in the mirror and admit I'm making mistakes. I've got to part ways with people that I love and care about and trust, and I got to change the way I go about my business. Now, to what degree Jimbo Fisher has to do that, only he can answer. I don't know. I don't see the day-to-day operations, and I wouldn't pretend to know what he's got to do there. I think we all have an opinion about some things that need to change in terms of personnel on the staff, but frankly, again, when he goes through that process of analyzing staff decisions and the way that they conduct business, the way they recruit, the way they practice, the way they prepare, it has to be a situation now that is as unsettling and unnerving as he's ever been in, because he's used to winning.
Assuming there is a bowl game, and Florida State finds a way to pick up the 4 wins necessary to be bowl eligible. What I'll find interesting is the timeline of events in December.
Yeah, when does it happen? We actually had somebody, it's a good point you bring up, somebody ask us via Twitter, if we're bowl eligible, does Jimbo make changes after the Florida game or the bowl game? If it's a bowl game, do we even want to be bowl eligible was the question, basically. And I think a lot of people are thinking about that right now. Yeah, I want to be bowl eligible. I got to be honest with you. I do take great pride in the fact that Florida State is home to the best streak in college football on that front. I like winning records. I like that our worst seasons, even in the lost decade, did not see a sub 500 campaign. I obviously things had to change, but at least we weren't going 4-8. Those kinds of things that we've talked about. I just alluded to Notre Dame going 4-8. And of course, Florida's famed 4-8 season. We made fun of them. We made fun of Notre Dame. We made fun of everybody in the country that has been a preeminent college football program. To fall that far is something that we could not relate to. But right now, we're on the verge of relating to just that. And it's admittedly tough to take.
Well, the cliches are there, but still, I think it matters to get those practices because you've got a lot of young players that need extra reps and before spring camp. But, yeah, the question would be, when do you make those announcements? Because, just from a planning standpoint, we got a lot of things that we do here at the station. There's a business operation, then there's the show operation. And to me, you got to pencil in that December is going to have a couple of press conferences at some point with new blood because there's a new message. Whoever it's going to be, you have to capitalize on that message so the people, the fan base at large, hopes again, and then maybe you can get a flip or two on the recruiting trail.
You got to salvage a recruiting class right now. That's part of the problem you have. You got to salvage something in recruiting. Now, one good thing for Florida State, obviously, has been 4 consecutive years with top 5 classes. It's not like the cupboard is bare here, but you are going to take a step back with this year's class. There's no question. The writing is on the wall there. At the same time that Miami sees a huge uptick. So you've got your work cut out for you.
There is no doubt that winning, which they're not doing right now, and they need to do in 2018, and especially if they can do a little bit of that between now and the end of the season, that'd be nice too. Winning is going to change hearts and minds, but you can still feed some people hope if there are some changes between now and, let's say, signing day. And that way spring camp isn't something that people just dread and say, well, whatever, show me in 2018. That you got to control that message and change the message. Right now, there's anger/apathy, and you've got to shake that out of the system so that the program has positive momentum and, recruits in the next cycle are still quite interested in Florida State because recruits are watching. What have you done? Yeah. What have you done for me lately? They don't care about the national title. What are they doing now? And how is that going to benefit me to get me to the next level?
Well, and this is an area where Jimbo has been so good, and it's as a recruiter. He's been very, very good. And it's one of the many reasons why people probably feel the way they do about keeping him in the midst of this disappointing season and just have him make changes on his staff. I again, think that's the majority right now in this fan base want to do that, see that be the case. That he's afforded that opportunity without question. And the reality of the situation is, of course, that Florida State is not forcing Jimbo Fisher out. I don't think they should either right now, but they couldn't if they wanted to at $42 million. That ain't happening. So, this is a situation where the next best thing is for him to assess the situation and obviously make the changes necessary. I think now the problem is there's a whole lot of sitting around in limbo. That's hard to do. I mean, when your season and your season goals are off the table in early October for the second consecutive season, I might add. It makes the rest of the campaign pretty difficult to invest in, doesn't it?
I think the hard part, too, is you have a lot of talent, more talent than just about everybody you played so far this season. And the kids want to win. They're not giving up on you, and yet still the results aren't there. I think that's also really frustrating because there are patches of time, in any one of these losses where you go, okay, now that's more like it. That's what we're looking for here out of both the defense and the offense.
I'm amazed we're having this conversation. It just hits me like a ton of bricks look, I get it. I'm a realist. I'm pragmatic. I watch the games every second of them. I go back and watch it again. Obviously, I talk to the coach every week. I mean, we do this for a living, have for a long time. It's hard to stomach. And I don't even mean it from a personal standpoint where you're like, oh, my pride, my Noel, whatever. No. I mean, this is shocking. it involves a lot of circumstances, some of which really are unlucky. They've been a very unlucky team. They've suffered a massive amount of injuries. Your best offensive lineman gone. Your best receiver has largely been hurt most of the year playing that way. Another receiver that you were counting on has now missed a couple games in a row and is going to continue to miss time in Keith Gavin. You've never really been able to count on George Campbell. So you're just decimated at wide receiver. Your starting quarterback obviously went down the first game of the year, and you've had to rely on a true freshman. You've had a lot of things happen. The schedule, the way it played out with Alabama being first, and then you turn right around. You don't get to play another football game until you face NC State. So the first games of the year, you're facing really good defenses, really good front sevens, and the second one of those, you're doing so with a freshman quarterback. So schedule-wise, it's really tough. Things get rescheduled, the Miami game, all that. It's been tough. I mean, some of this is not all their fault, but nobody wants to hear that, and it's certainly their fault that the team has lost 4 games and hasn't won a home game. You can't explain it all away by happenstance and injury, because you look around the country and you'll hear people say, well, you got a freshman quarterback. Georgia has a freshman quarterback, and they're fine. In fact, they're undefeated, and they play good football every week with a true freshman quarterback. I don't want to hear it. You're better than this. So somewhere in the middle, between blaming and being furious and then also acknowledging there are excuses, legitimate excuses and all that's fine. But 2-4 and winless at home, nobody's going to say that's okay.
Yeah, one thing we talked about last week, and I said at some point, just reconcile this now. The quarterback's going to be the reason you lost the game. It's closer to true than not this weekend, but he didn't outright lose you the football game either. He makes some winning plays, and he makes a lot of good decisions that you go, oh, well, that is a sign.
I'm not worried
of the
about
growth
him.
to come.
Not worried about him. He's a true freshman, and I think that we knew that you were going to have hiccups. You knew that he was going to make plays, and you were going to see evidence of what Jimbo saw in him, which is why Jimbo's starting a true freshman quarterback over a veteran backup who's been here forever and a day. So I knew we would see that, but we'd also see the moments where you go, that's a unfortunate decision. But that's the
right. But if Boston College is capable of dropping 45 on Louisville the week before, and
you got to be able to run the ball more effectively, et cetera.
Yeah, you're sitting at 7 offensive points in the fourth quarter. I mean, that's a little tough to take too. Quarterback mistakes aside, that's still a little tough to take.
36 yards in the second quarter of this football game. You had 157 at halftime total. You get gifted a defensive touchdown. It's both sides of the ball.
It's a nice play by Kendo. Maybe he and Marvin Wilson can put something together where we can get some consistent pressure on the quarterback. That would help too.
And both are going to be guys that we rely on moving forward as big parts of what happens. By the way, don't spend any time thinking about the fact that you're losing almost every significant defensive contributor on this team in the offseason. Try not to spend a lot of time on that one.
Maybe the young guys can infuse a different culture.
So when Christmas leaves and Noddy leaves and Matthew Thomas is gone and McFadden is gone and Derwin James is gone and Sweat is gone, don't spend a lot of time on thinking about those things. It's Jeff Cameron, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And all other scars of war, whether those scars are visible or hidden. Find out how to help, because for warriors, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. Please visit woundedwarriorproject.org.
Out on the golf course, there are the obvious hazards. There's the pond, the bunker, the rough, the even rougher.
Yeah, put me down for an 8.
The giant maples. The row of houses out of bounds on the right. The angry flock of geese who've surrounded your ball. Even the occasional groundskeeper you had no clue was there. But if you think you found every possible hazard out there, think again. The hazard you missed could actually be a killer. It's the spot on your skin, the one that could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
It's time for the 11th annual Brewfest. Over 200 beer varieties and unlimited sampling presented by the Tallahassee Sunrise Rotary Club. Come sample varieties of craft beer to learn what you like. Event is October the 28th from 5 to 8 p.m. held at the Antique Car Museum. General admission is $39 with food available for purchase. VIPs have exclusive access from 4 to 5 p.m. All net proceeds go to charity. Brewfest sells out quickly, so get your tickets now. Visit the Facebook page or brewfesttallahassee.com for event details and ticketing information.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, U.S. Tax Shield can help you take back control. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Our team of tax attorneys can stop collections and get you protected. U.S. Tax Shield offers a price protection guaranteed quote to get you protected today. U.S. Tax Shield is A+ rated with the BBB, so call 800-466-9625. U.S. Tax Shield, 800-466-9625.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. Thirsty? They have the Lucky Sevens. $7 domestic pitchers after 7 p.m., 7 days a week, $7.95. Daily specials. Locally owned and operated since 1978. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill. 3 locations to choose from. 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer. 574-4100. And presented by TNT Supercenter in Thomasville, Georgia. And Franklin Spring Creek Ford. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. All right. Hockey, Monday Night Football. What to grab, what to latch onto, Tom, what to do moving forward. This is, again, uncharted territory.
You know, have you seen what Montreal has done so far this season?
No, I haven't been paying attention to Montreal. I haven't. Got to be honest with you.
They've scored 12 true goals because you get a credit for a goal for winning the shootout.
Yeah.
In 8 games.
Woo! So their day-to-day existence is much tougher than that of being a Knoll right now.
They're 1-6-1 with that
and not scoring at all.
That young kid, Jonathan Drouin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it breaks your heart to see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tough times.
You betcha.
Yeah. So, okay. But, I mean, whoo. By the way, did you see Larinaga said that he is Coach 3 in the FBI papers?
He admitted it, huh?
Yeah, he is Coach 3.
Well, you could kind of figure it out, but usually the coach doesn't say, that's me.
Miami coach Jim Larinaga said on Monday he and his legal team believe that he is Coach 3 in a Department of Justice report released last month relating to an ongoing FBI investigation into corruption in college basketball. He was said to have had knowledge about an Adidas executive and other individuals conspiring to funnel money to a 2018 recruit later identified as Nasir Little. That, according to the Palm Beach Post. Larinaga said he was thankful to be named in the report because he believes he did nothing wrong and that one of his assistant coaches were involved based off the findings in the documents. Larinaga defended his honor on Monday and stated emphatically that he had no knowledge of any wrongdoing within the Miami basketball program. I cannot state more emphatically that I have absolutely no knowledge of any wrongdoing by any member of our staff, and I certainly have never engaged in conduct that some have speculated about. I've tried to live every one of my 68 years on this earth with integrity, character, and humility. Well, I got to tell you, from a PR standpoint, if you're going to deny wrongdoing, that works well. If, in fact, you didn't, then okay.
3 days later, Jim Larinaga
resigns.
Was fired.
Yeah. But, I mean, he goes on. It's been a strain physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. He goes on to say it's something that's there. I have to deal with it. I have the support of my wife and a wonderful family. I have the support of the university, my staff, and my players. And goes on to say, again, I'm telling you, I didn't do it.
Percent chance the basketball team makes the tournament this year. This one up here.
Choo, choo. We're rolling on Big River. It's time to move on, talk some Seminole basketball, perhaps some Seminole golf.
How about this? Better chance of happening. Football team makes a bowl. Basketball team makes the NCAA tournament, not the NIT.
Better
chance of happening.
I think the football team's going to make a bowl.
Okay. So I'll ask that again on Monday if the result is not what we want.
Oh, well, we may have fun with all of this. We can test a theory and just see what happens and get into something here. But if the football team loses on Friday night to Boston College, it could very well be that we do a 3-hour show in which we don't mention Florida State football while it's football season. Like that rarely happens when it's not football season, let alone during football season.
I got to tell you, Jeff, I am so stunned of what Carey Price has brought to the table for the Habs so far this season. When you think of goalies, exactly. There's your 415.
3 weeks from today versus George Washington at the TLC Double C.
All right.
Here we go. Where I might note that the tournament train last year did not lose a game. Undefeated, baby. The friendly confines of the TLC Double C, where victories happen every single night they play.
I sure would like to see a home football win this year. You think it happens against Syracuse?
Yes.
Okay.
Kinda.
Thank you.
Kinda.
Just give the people something to latch on to.
Sort of, maybe. I'm not. They play at pace. They play pretty well, and they had Miami kind of, on teetering. They've got exhibition games, by the way, on the 26th of this month, 3 days from right now. They play the first of 2 exhibition games when they host Division II Central Missouri at 7 o'clock at the TLC Double C. I got to be honest with you. I'm going. I'm looking forward to it. You going to go?
Probably.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, I got no expectations for them this year, so I
got
suppose
lowered expectations.
Yeah.
They're not going to go undefeated at the TLC Double C.
They'd have to scrap to what? 8-9 wins in conference play as it
We'll
currently
talk
is comprised?
about this later, Tom. I'm not so sure. I will see. We've got some things.
They always have shooters in October, man.
When we come back, you'll hear my Mountain Dew coach interview with Jimbo Fisher that ran this morning, or at least I did the interview very early this morning. So some of it is it may be repetitive. Let's just put it that way. But it'll run just as it did this morning. That's coming up next on the Jeff Cameron Show.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest tractors on earth. Like a Mahindra Emax 22 as low as $99 a month. Or get up to $8,100 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 7-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
23rd, 1993. For only the second time in World Series history, the championship ended on a walk-off home run. This time, Joe Carter powered the Blue Jays to their second straight World Series title when he hit a 3-run shot off of Mitch Wild Thing Williams in the bottom of the 9th inning of Game 6.
The secret to better gas mileage and a longer-lasting engine? Super Lube it every 3 months or 3,000 miles. The secret to even better gas mileage? Fuel Joules, a gas tank additive that'll increase your MPG by as much as 7%. And today, when you change your oil at Super Lube, you get a free bottle of Fuel Joules. Crystal Matthews and Amber Cossack own Solid Start, the company that makes Fuel Joules.
Every time we sell a bottle of Fuel Joules, a donation will be made to the National Breast Cancer Foundation.
In October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
There are 19 Tallahassee area Super Lubes. There's probably one right around the corner right now. Free offer valid without coupons or discounts.
Look at that mouth. That poor, parched mouth. So dry. What'd you eat for lunch? Chalk dust? Did your mouth cannonball into a barrel of mothballs? You're being awfully quiet. Is that because your mouth feels like the business end of a Dremel saw? Is it because your mouth just wrote a haiku and all 17 syllables were dry heaves? You're so parched. You know it. I know it. The entire radio knows it. Just admit it. You want a Mountain Dew. Your mouth feels like it just inhaled the insides of a punching bag, and the only remedy is that neon green potion. Right now, your mouth could be tongue bathing in the refreshing citrus kick of Mountain Dew. Instead, it feels like you've been motorboating King Tut's sarcophagus. Show some mercy. Crack open an ice-cold Mountain Dew. You know your mouth wants you to. Do the Dew.
RCD Shell has great prices on Mountain Dew Kickstart cans and Dew 20-ounce flavors like Code Red and Voltage, all just 99 cents. Stay hydrated and recharged with the energy boost you need to keep going strong with Kickstart and Code Red and Voltage, all just 99 cents at RCD Shell stores.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Super Lube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Man Cave Monday, brought to you by Experamac of Tallahassee. Experamac, Tallahassee's trusted tech source for Apple. Stopping at 346 South Magnolia Drive or call at 765-2012 today.
Welcome in, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. As always, we're joined by Coach Fisher after the game, and you know he's making time for us this morning, even though normally the schedule is a little bit different than it is now. I appreciate that, Coach. So many one-possession games every week, and unfortunately, obviously, the results are not where you want them to be. I guess I'm looking big picture here as we talk today because it seems like it's a play here or it's a play there, but they're not being made in the critical moments. What do you say to the fans who ask, why is this happening?
It's just part of maturity growth in certain players, and we got to keep fighting for it. And I got to tell our players, you can be 3 for 3 in a baseball game, and those 3 hits mean nothing, or you can be 0 for 3 and get 1 hit in the ninth with 2 outs, that drives in the RBI, and that's what we're trying to understand our kids, that every play and the attention's in the details, and it's also not only the plays you make, but when you make them, and we're continuing to educate them on that and do that, and here's the thing, we have always been able to do that. We have always won these games, and it's not a lack of them not trying. It's just we got to understand how to, stay, as I say, stay detailed all the way through every situation and keep rooting, keep cheering, and we're going to keep coaching the heck out of them. Like I told them in my press conference, what if that's one of your kids out there? Keep rooting for them. Keep cheering for them. They're playing their hearts out.
Yeah, and Coach, I know how much you love these kids and you coach them up every day, and you're obviously now also – you have to, as a head coach, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what do you do as a head coach to help them get to that place? What did the film tell you, first of all, about this game? I guess we should address this game. What did the film tell you about the whys and hows of the final? And then what are you doing now? What do you ask yourself in a situation like this?
To get back to details. You got to get them to understand that when you go to the line of scrimmage, don't think about any failures. Think about exactly what I have to do, how I have to do it, and the details in which I have to do it with, and the exact technique I have to do it with, and play your heart out and go to the next play. You have to continue to grind that in them and make sure they do it every day in practice, and just like we do, and that every time that those guys, I understand that why we're on them so much is that every play makes a difference, and that's what we're doing. And I coach the coaches to coach that way, and then the guys that I'm involved with when I'm coaching, I coach them that way. And it's about every play and coach detail, and and respect the details of every individual situation, and understand what you're trying to accomplish, and on the play, what my assignment is, what my alignment is, and then how I got to do it, and then that's what you focus on, and you go. And but the first part of your question, that's what we're doing, yeah, that's what I'm doing, coaching coaches to make sure they're doing that, and coaching the players to make sure they do that too.
The turnover at the end, it looks like we're going down to win the game. Mm-hmm. Almost certain it looks like that's going to happen. You got a great drive going there. On that play, was that the call? Is that a straight handoff or a zone read? And did he just
it was all your gun runs a zone read. It wasn't a pull.
Okay.
He wasn't pulling the ball. He put the ball too far on the other side of the pad. He put the ball through. We had just ran that play 3 times in the last 8 plays.
Right.
And it's the exact play, which we were. Yeah, that's the one that Cam stumbled on. It really could have come out big, and then it had about 10 on, and we had it 2 or 3 other times in the drive. We had it there. All your gun runs are, but he was not pulling the play. He just put the ball too far in his belly. He put it on the opposite pad if you look at it, and when he pulled it across, Cam clamped on his arm because their arms were just the details of where Cam came across, where he was, and it's the same play we've been running, and it created missed the pocket on the handoff, just like you do when you hand the ball off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. The ball went on the ground.
It's a weird game when you go back and look at it. I wanted to ask you about what you saw in the film, and that there are elements of this game where you say, okay, they improved greatly here. For example, defensively, you have a situation where there's 8:58 to play in the game, and Louisville literally had 0 yards passing in the second half at that point. So now granted, on the other side of that, obviously the young man had a day on the ground, as he's wont to do given his skill set. And yet, then obviously we don't get to stop at the end of the game. I don't know. You get a scoop and score for a touchdown on defense. So there's this good element that we have.
You got a huge 4th down stop. They had a 42-yard field goal to make and went for it on 4th and 1.5.
Yeah.
I mean, could have put them ahead and really, give us a chance to win the game. And it was, and we had a great 4th down stop. And then we had that drive. It was tremendous. And, we didn't make a play at the end. We got beat on the slant inside on the first play, and then they popped the run. We got out of position on a run, and they got some momentum and got the drive going.
Quick question, Coach. I was hearing that Jacques Patrick may have an injury. I know he's going to miss some time. What's the status of Jacques Patrick?
He will. Jacques, you'll see. He had some torn cartilage in his knee.
So that's it for the year?
Yeah, most likely.
That's a shame. All right, well, obviously he was having a good season. That's a shame for Jacques Patrick.
Playing great. He was playing great football.
What's the challenge now, Coach? I know there's an emotional toll that goes with coming up short in a lot of these games, and nobody wants that, obviously. But you preach it to the kids, got to keep fighting. But it can be tough, and now you got a short week against a BC team that's really playing extremely well.
But that's what you do. You go back, and guys, the life's not fair. Things aren't fair. These kids have been through a lot of tough times in their life. This is a football game, and it means a lot to them. It means a lot to everybody. You go back and you go to work. That's the only way you can change it. Get back to what we talked about. Coach the details. Understand why we didn't have success. Understand why we had success on certain things. You go right back and you go to work. Put your head down, and go to work, and you go play your tail off. Get 6 more games to play that you can go play your tail off on, and you do that, and you see what happens. You change. The only way you're going to change what's going on is you got to change it yourself. The world's not going to change it for you. And explain that to them. They have been. And we went out yesterday. We had a walkthrough, but the energy was good. The mindset was good. And the guys went through things very well.
Has this been the toughest season for you? I know you've been an assistant coach on some teams that struggled worse than this, but is this the toughest season you've had as a head coach?
Well, yeah. As far as win-losses, it has. But, there's been some other seasons even that we've had success on that have been absolute grind of things that go on. But, that's part of it. That's part of the ups and downs of coaching and the things in the world that go on. And, it's a challenge, but that's what you as a person have to say. You have to face the challenges every day, and you have to address what's in front of you and go and understand each situation and where the kids are and what they are, and that's part of coaching and the people around you, and you go.
Coach, best of luck. I appreciate you making time for us. I know it's a short week. Be well, and I'll talk to you again next week.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
All right, take care. That's Jimbo Fisher, head football coach, Florida State, making time for us. He's driving in. I don't know, what you say at this point. He has to say what he said, which is also the truth. I think that's the way he is. I've had this opportunity to talk to him for 10 years when he was an offensive coordinator, then head coach in waiting, now head coach, and I know that he really, really, really cherishes the opportunity to get up every morning early and start the coaching, and so it's not a lack of want to or focus or attention to detail. But there is something clearly missing. You don't lose the games that Florida State loses with the talent that Florida State has week in and week out if something's not missing. And I imagine the exhaustive search is, it's just that. It's every day, and it's looking in the mirror, and it's a lot of things. And the hard part now is, obviously, we all expect that there are going to be changes at the end of this year to that coaching staff. But you have 6 more games, and those changes can't be made right now. But you have to find a way to win games. You do not want to be at the helm at a time in which a bowl streak is snapped in a collection of winning seasons that is talked about throughout college football as the standard. That's not what you want on your resume. He knows that, obviously. I'm not saying anything that everybody doesn't already know, but the sense of desperation has been ratcheted up now to a place where I don't know that any of us have, it's interesting. We'll come back and talk about this conversation in this interview, but in the situation, I don't know. I don't know what to say other than I'm obviously not happy. I don't think anybody is. And then you learn now that Jacques Patrick is out for the year, and there was a kid that was fighting for you. It just seems like the way the season's gone. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
Landowners, Mahindra's inventory clearance sale is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth. Like a Mahindra XTV 750S as low as $135 a month. Or get up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Plus, Mahindra's 3-year limited powertrain warranty comes standard.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
To get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Center Point Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4-DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
Mahindra's inventory clearance is going on now. We're reducing prices like never before on the toughest utility vehicles on earth, like a Mahindra 750S Camo as low as $135 a month, or up to $3,450 in cash back and savings. Only from Mahindra.
North Florida and South Georgia's authorized Mahindra dealer is TNT Super Center, US 19 South in Thomasville, and at TNTSuperCenter.com.
Offer with approved credit. See dealer for details. Program restrictions may apply.
We're changing things up at Chili's. Even our song is changing.
Our old song was Baby Back, Baby Back, Baby Back. It was about ribs because that was our thing.
Everything's getting an update.
Our new menu is totally different. We made your favorite things a lot bigger.
We made our new burger half a pound. That's much bigger.
And the ribs are 30% bigger. The fajitas are way bigger too.
48% actually. But that's like impossible to sing.
I don't know, maybe just let me try it. The fajitas have 48% more fajitas. Oh baby, Chili's is back. Baby back, baby back.
Each morning before you wake, you dream of breakfast like Mom used to make. Eggs, bacon, potatoes too. Can't wait to eat all this amazing food. Then the alarm bell rings and no one's cooking you anything. Real life is hard when your morning is hell. Have breakfast with a fried egg shell.
Introducing the new Naked Egg Taco. Crispy bacon, seasoned potatoes, and melty cheese wrapped in a fried egg shell. Only at Taco Bell. At participating stores for a limited time during breakfast hours.
The new Fox and Stag, Tallahassee's local craft cocktail bar in the heart of Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue, featuring a newly expanded liquor menu including limited release scotches, whiskeys, and bourbons, as well as unique spirits distilled right here in Florida. If wine is your thing, swing by and try one of Fox and Stag's hand-selected bottles from their ever-expanding wine list, or simply enjoy one by the glass paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox and Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox and Stag on Facebook.
You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Wrapping it up, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I don't know if I can stomach more football tonight. Tomorrow, Tampa Bay plays Carolina, right?
That is correct.
So I'll watch that. I'll watch the World Series. I think our good friend Matthew Leach, MLB, going to join us to talk and preview the World Series tomorrow on the program. And also I will look back at the season that was for baseball.
That's what they call a welcome reprieve, I believe. Is that right?
A very, very welcome reprieve is what will be. You know, it's funny. That's part of the bigger stuff with the show today. I mean, obviously, we've been talking about a lost season, a 2-4 season that now you fight to get bowl eligible. And I don't think now is the time. You guys can probably tell just from tone. It's just you don't need me to pound the table. There's a lot of things that are just self-evident here. What is fascinating about what remains with the season is what does he do? Now, I know what he's going to say publicly, and the press conference he gave today, the interview he gave me this morning. By and large, other than I think he should have said that he did indeed regret getting into an conversation with a fan after the heated exchange with a fan. I would have said, listen, I'm sorry, I was emotional. It was a tough loss, and I love my coaches and players, and it got the best of me, and I shouldn't have done what I did. And then I would have just left it at that. It's not a good look. I don't think you can really do that. But other than that, I thought he struck the right tone today, because I don't know what else you want him to say. And there's not a coach out there that's going to roll. Well, there's not a good coach out there that's going to roll his coaches and his players in a press conference. So, every week I sound like a broken record with this. He's not going to say, listen, I've identified the changes that need to be made and we'll make them at the end of this year. And he's not going to do that. So, I don't know what else you say.
A quick meta question for you. Because he can't say certain things and he's not going to offer up certain things, especially with a handful of games still to play in the season.
Important games if you want to get bowl eligible, yeah.
Correct. As a media member, if you're on the beat in that circumstance, you're still asking the same questions every week. Do you have to ask the same questions every week about, trust in the coaching staff and evaluation? Do you have to get them on the record every single week?
Maybe. I mean, with each passing week, there is a result.
And this isn't me attacking the media asking the questions either. It's just I'm asking you from an approach standpoint. You have to ask them every Monday the same question of, are your coaches getting it done?
Well, you know what the answer is going to be there no matter what the result of the game is. You
See
can
what I'm
argue,
saying?
You can argue certainly the result of the game means that, it frames the question differently with each passing week. If you win those games, it changes the way you ask questions. If you lose those games, I guess you continue to stress, obviously, that they're losing games, that they're favored to win, that they're, they have better players than the opposing team. It's as simple as that. I mean, that's awfully difficult. I don't know. I don't know. I think we talked about before the Miami game, and we were talking about don't lose that game. Your season goes really south if it ends the streak, and you won't be a state champion at that point. You won't have that over them in recruiting. By the way, if you're Miami, you got to be licking your chops right now. You got some big games still to play, but I mean, the state of Florida is there for the taking in recruiting. Florida is a disaster, and Florida State is a disaster right now, and you got to take advantage if you're Mark Richt in Miami. And I think that's the fear everybody has right now is that, all right, well, what do the losses mean? Once your goals are off the table, once you can't achieve what you had hoped to achieve, and once all expectations have been obliterated for what this year could have been, well, what's one more loss? Honestly, I hated that on Saturday. I felt like, what's one more loss? I mean, the season's already a miss. I mean, this is, now granted, I'd like to win a home game at some point, but what's one more loss? Well, you do start to dip into, is there a threshold? Can you lose enough games where you're going to be adversely affected to a large degree in recruiting? Because I think, by and large, whenever I've asked that question to people who cover recruiting for a living and own one of the websites we all go to, whether it's WarChant or any of the others, is, the idea that a loss, a singular loss, or a bad campaign can set you down a course to where you can't get back and somebody else jumps in and takes advantage of that hiccup is largely not true. A bad season isn't going to be the be-all, end-all for a program. You got a couple, 2 and 3 and 4 bad seasons, well, 2 or 3, and then maybe we're about done in recruiting. Guys start to go, I'm not going there, they're a disaster. But one bad season doesn't usually do that. But I don't know if the season is so disastrous that nobody could see it coming, and it doesn't look like, oh, well, some unfortunate circumstances and some things that, really were out of their control. They'll be fine next year. If you lose enough games, people aren't saying they're going to be okay next year. They're going to say the culture there is broken. They've got problems that they may not get fixed with the current administration.
Yeah, but that goes back to what you said in the open. It's what it goes back to what you said in the 3 o'clock hour.
Oh, without question. Yeah. I mean, and assessing, and I know Jimbo said today at the press conference that I assess everything I do, and I think that's true. But I also think that sometimes the way you assess needs to change.
That's fair, but once again, back to the point about asking the questions, he's not going to say that and have a breakdown in front of you on a podium.
Nor do I want him to, and he shouldn't. But, yeah, I just hope that those tough questions, those long looks in the mirror that we've all had them in our lives for whatever time we're talking about of stress or adversity, long trips. There's nothing better than a long drive when you've got a lot of things to work out. He needs to go on a long drive.
You know, that's so funny you say that because to me, I was about to say that's going to be an important hunting trip.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when he goes out
staring
there.
off at the trees.
Yeah.
He's not even trying to shoot things. He's just sitting off in the wilderness staring at the sky.
Or he's going to shoot everything.
Yeah. I don't think he kills like that. But I would say that, yes, whatever contemplative efforts you have, whether that's a long walk, a long drive, a trip on the water in a boat, whatever it is, fishing, whatever it is you do, everybody's got something. He's going to need a long one of those because the hardest thing in the world to do then is ask questions that get really uncomfortable involving yourself and people you love. And he's going to have to do that this offseason, as we've kind of talked about on and off all day long. It's time for What's on Tap. Let's get to.
Ready for a cold one? Proof Brewing Company in Railroad Square Art Park presents What's on Tap. So, Jeff, what'll it be?
Probably the LA-Toronto game that Tom's talking about.
Yeah.
A little hockey. But I will watch Monday Night Football tonight. We get a good Monday Night Football game, too. So, a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's the LA-Toronto game. That's the correct answer here. You've got forces and objects that are, unstoppable
immovable and
unmovable.
unstoppable, yeah.
Well, you got Toronto that's averaging damn near 5 goals a game, and then LA's...
You're saying, Jeff, take the over?
No, because LA's given up 2 a game.
So did we look at what the over-under was?
I didn't. I'd imagine it's around 5.5. That would be my guess.
Besides, it's a Monday. I think we like to do that on a Tuesday, Wednesday.
It's on the East Coast, so advantage Toronto in that sense. But this is a really... You know what? I'm going to say it. This is the best product in sports right now. Now, playoff baseball has been really fun to watch.
It's been really good.
The ALCS was excellent.
Yes, it was.
Hopefully this World Series is everything and more. I think we all could use a little distraction
I think it's going to be a good World Series.
But night to night, the top flight teams, hell, even the mediocre teams in the NHL, if you're just looking for up and down action, mindless, kind of like the way when the Winter Olympics come about, which they are again, and you're just watching curling and the speed skating.
I'm just watching this. I don't know
This is
anything
fun.
about this. Okay, I could do this.
People give it a shot.
Yeah.
Right now, I know there's a lot of sorrow in your life, and you don't want to go to YouTube and
Especially
rewatch that
if you're
game.
a Bucks fan.
You don't want to rewatch that game
You
on
get
YouTube.
both.
Watch a little bit of hockey. It'll do the heart very well.
Well, Washington-Philadelphia is a classic rivalry, too, though, in football, and I do want to watch this. I know Washington has owned Philadelphia in recent years, so this is a chance for a little Philadelphia revenge. I have a feeling they'll desperately want to get this done tonight. So I'll enjoy that. Our thanks to Proof Brewing Company for sponsoring What's on Tap. Proof Brewing Company, since 2007, offering Tallahassee's finest craft beer selection at their massive tap room, Railroad Square Art Park, and canned deliciousness in stores near you.
I'll tell you, I'm a little worried because it's a Philadelphia-Washington Monday night game, and I have a big lead in fantasy football, and I've got flashbacks to the Michael Vick performance for the ages.
You and I sitting at the CP watching it all unfold, and me beginning that there's that uncomfortable moment when you realize what you thought wasn't possible is possible to the detriment of your friend's team or result or whatever it might be that you're guarded against or fearful of. It's just a little hint of possibility in the background. That moment when you recognize, ooh, well, he is getting off to the kind of start he'd need to get off to if he's going to do the impossible. And then your friend who had, in this case it was you, who recognizes, too, that is way too good a start to get off to. When you do the look-around thing, like, well, that was a hell of a throw.
He does get a point for every 10 rushing yards, and he's up to 60.
Yeah.
And it's the first quarter.
And then they get the ball back, and it's an 80-yard bomb, and you go, that's a big point total there.
Yeah, you need the other offense to get a couple of first downs.
Something, yeah.
Well, that's a wide-open drop on third down. That's not good.
That's not good, yeah. No, a lot of weird things end up happening. Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. To those that called and or listened, surely do appreciate it. Be well. Have a good night, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.